What happened with them two?
They got married.
And that's what happens when Donovan and Dusty get into a marital dispute. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics Podcast, Season 10, Episode 1, where today we're covering the Apple Dumpling Gang. With me today, we have...
Hello, everybody. I'm a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
Character called Sinister Boy.
And I'm Sprinks. And this is our first Western, I think?
I mean, Firefly is
Yeah,
I guess
think
Firefly.
Firefly's a space western. I think that takes the cake. This is our
Serenity.
first quote-unquote
Yeah.
true western, right?
Yeah.
Well, they could
First
actually be
pure
quantifiably a Western. Yes.
So I will begin as how normally with our socials. Thank you all for listening wherever you're listening from. But if you'd like to follow for any updates on anything, we are at Cheap Seat Critics Podcast on Facebook. We are over on YouTube / at Cheap Seat Critics, youtube.com / at Cheap Seat Critics. If you want to see our PNG tubers or the slideshow that we're doing and the visual side of things. We have a TikTok and Instagram, which are both at Cheap Seat Critics. But if you change the ending to an X, so the CRIX, that is the Twitter. We also have an Instagram at Cheap Seat Critics Podcast, and same name over on LetterBox.
So, Apple Dumpling Gang.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's start with histories. Let's go with Sinister. Sinister, what's your history on the film?
I've heard a lot about this movie, mainly probably from Springs. Oftentimes I wondered if he was obsessed with this movie. He brought it up an awful lot. But I that's kind of my only history with it, other than I also know it because I'm a fan of Don Knotts, and it's kind of one of the more, I guess, well-known features that he did. A couple others, but... yeah, I think this is probably it's a Disney one, so it's, kind of went everywhere. But that's about my history with this movie.
All right, let's go to Ryder.
All right, my history with the Apple Dumpling Gang is I'm in a posse in Red Dead Redemption called the Apple Dumpling Gang. That is my history. I've never heard of it before, never experienced it before. I know nothing about it. I feel like, having watched this movie, I feel like it inspired one of the rides at Disneyland. It's not Magic Mountain, but it was like Thunder Mountain, I think it was called.
Oh, Thunder Mountain? The railway?
Yeah, because you're riding in mine carts, and that's the thing in this film. And it's an earthquake while you're in the mine. So I feel like that's the only thing that I would have been in close to a proximity with regarding the Apple Dumpling Gang in my whole life was that particular Disneyland ride.
Okie doke. We'll go with Crimson next.
All right. Might have been my third or fourth time watching this, specifically for the podcast. I watched it with my family when I was pretty young, but I have not seen this in quite a while. I was surprised how much I remembered. I'm also in the posse in Red Dead.
Yeah, we're all in the posse.
We're all in the posse.
Spoiler alert, audience. We're all together. That's pretty much it.
Okie doke. Go lastly with me. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I've seen it so many times. It's one of my childhood movies I grew up with. I think it's very funny. Every time I watch it, there seems to be a new joke I laugh at. And there was one for this time that had me laugh. I don't usually, for me, I guess it's about myself. When watching a comedy, I usually keep quiet because I have this overwhelming kind of thing on me that I don't make noise to disturb others while watching something. And to me, that could be laughing or shock or whatever. So I usually contain it to myself. And I've been doing that for years. This movie got me to chuckle out loud once, which I don't think the joke that got me to laugh out loud has ever made me laugh in this film. So I think it's something where it's like I just catch more and more as I watch it every time. And yeah, I think that's about it. It's one of the earliest works of Disney live action I think I've ever seen.
Can't wait for them to
So,
reboot it.
No, please don't. Oh,
They'll get to
absolutely,
it
please do
eventually.
Don't.
They will.
They come for
They're
everything.
getting
haven't you?
everything.
They could,
Mhm.
but please don't. Oh no, that's a bad thought in my head. With us watching this via Disney Plus, if the views go up or something, oh my goodness.
3 people watch Apple Dumpling Gang. Let's spend
Yeah,
several $1 million on
let's
making a
get
new
that.
one.
Oh my god. I got some facts here. So the initial release date was July 1st, 1975. Its runtime is an hour and 40 minutes, or 100 minutes total. The one fact I was unable to find anywhere was the budget. I have no clue how much this film cost. But the box office was 36.85 million USD. It is rated G, for this was the time before PG-13 was established. Its genre is Western comedy. Its director is Norman Tokar, who's done films such as Where the Red Fern Grows, The Cat from Outer Space, and Candle Shoe.
Big
And
movies.
then,
Yeah. Well, Where the Red Fern Grows is pretty big, but Candle Shoe, never heard of that.
and then I got a couple fun facts. Which this could help writer here to put it on his list. This film is based off of the 1971 book by Jack Bickham.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't read many Western books, but I'll have a look at the synopsis.
I think it's kind of cool that this movie was made 4 years after the book, which seems relatively fast.
Yeah.
This was the last cinema film of Bill Bixby. Did anyone recognize Bill Bixby? Donovan.
I mean, I've heard the name. I've never.
I didn't
I
recognize
know
him.
He looked familiar.
I don't recognize him, but what I thought he was a love child between Hugh Jackman and Christopher Plummer.
Yeah, I don't want this film to be remade, or the sequel it has as well. I don't want them remade, but I do feel that Donovan and Dusty, to me, could be Hugh Jackman and Julie Roberts.
What a weird pairing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Donovan. When I saw Donovan, I did a double take because I thought it was. I think he's a mix between Hugh Jackman and Christopher Plummer. He has like really close amalgamations of both those actors.
Yes. Bill Bixby, though, is famous for his role as Dr. David Banner in The Incredible Hulk show, where Lou Ferrigno was Hulk and he was Banner.
Is he known for anything else?
A couple other things, but that was the main thing.
That was a huge thing at the time.
Yeah. Next fact I have here is when Donovan loses his poker hand to the banker, he mentions 3 deuces beats aces over 8s. In poker, 2 pairs, aces and 8s, and sometimes called the dead man's hand. According to legend, this was the poker hand held by Wild Bill Hickok when he was shot dead.
It's true.
Interesting.
And the last fun fact here I have here, before another little thing I have, but Celia's line, "I'd rather have the accident," was going to be, "I'm going to have an accident." But Stacey Manning, who played Celia, kept saying, "I'd rather have an accident," so many times that the filmmakers decided to leave it in.
Interesting.
That's funny. But, it's a kid.
It's a weird part of the movie, too, so...
And the little tidbit I have here is I have 2 quotes taken from Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel on their reviews of the film.
All right.
Does anyone have any preference with who I start with?
Go.
Nope.
Go right for it.
Yeah.
All right. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 2.5 stars out of 4. Okay,
That's
so
a really
2.5
weird
out of
number.
4.
But okay.
Yeah. And wrote that the film was, in a lot of ways, a throwback to the Disney productions of 2 or 3 years ago, a period of overwhelming banality in the studio's history. More recently, Disney has given us some generally inventive entertainments, especially Escape to Witch Mountain and Island of the Top of the World. With the Apple Dumpling Gang, we're back to assembly line plots about the adventures of squeaky clean kids.
Wow, man, I wonder what they would think of modern Disney.
Yeah.
That's
Squeaky clean kids. I mean, shoot, I forgot his name already. The one that kicks.
Oh, Clovis.
Clovis.
Clovis. I don't know. Is he clean?
He gets better.
No.
They're not consistent
he?
like that.
No, they each have their parts.
No.
Bobby, Clovis, and Celia all have their distinctions.
Well, Bobby doesn't. Bobby's just boring. I mean,
Bobby's just the old one. The old
Yeah,
sibling.
Bobby's
Bobby's just kind of like Pa said. Pa said.
Passe.
He's a reminder. Yes, he keeps
He's
reminding everyone.
You're right. He's the reminder
Don't
guy.
touch Clovis. Celia's got to go. Next one from Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 1 star out of 4 and called it the latest piece of treacle from the Walt Disney sitcom Kitchen. The recipe is well known. Mix smiling moms and pops with a dash of villains. Fold in, this is an interesting word, saturine children, and beat with slapstick. The resulting cinematic mush is so predictable, it's a wonder that more youngsters don't tell the Disney folks to bake off.
Bake off.
Once again, comment that does
I
not
like
age
that.
well when compared to modern Disney.
You know.
And those are the facts I have.
And those are the facts, Jax.
I do have a couple more facts, but I will reveal them at the end
Oh.
of our coverage of the film.
All right.
Just to, put out there.
Yeah.
Today we will be going with a act structure. It's going to be 4 acts, where the first act is beginning from the beginning of the film, of course, to Donovan trying to sell off the kids or give away the kids.
All right.
Who would like to start?
I guess I'll start. I quite like how we meet our two. I'm gonna call them our failed lowlives, just because they're not. Theodore and Amos is their names, but I think I could like the intro to them because they're trying to rob somebody and just being terrible at it.
I don't think they could have done any worse, except hurting each other.
Exactly. And I think they do. I think the movie does an okay job of establishing these characters to us really quickly, and why I guess the town at least tolerates them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Everyone knows that they're criminals, but they're just such failures that they don't even bother arresting them.
The sheriff is just amused by them.
Well, he does say
Yeah.
he wants them out.
Yeah, but that's after they almost get to the vaults in the bank.
Fair enough.
True. It's true.
Maybe idiots to bring their own rope to their own hanging.
Well, I don't know how they would have gotten the gold out. Anyways, didn't seem to plan that part.
I think that if everything had gone according to plan, they would not have been able to lift it out.
No. They would have had to come up with some stupid plan that would have not worked anyhow. And
I mean, wasn't the whole plan stupid anyways? Because they had like 3.
It kind of reminds you of like
The entry was good, entering through the skylight.
Which
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
which it took them a while to get up there, for sure. But
Started with a ladder and ended with rope.
kind of reminds you, at least my idea, kind of where I take it now in retrospect, it kind of reminds you if Wile E. Coyote had a partner.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close, honestly.
I agree.
That's the
They are
vibe.
both very Wile E. Coyote characters.
Because none of
Which
their plans
supposedly
work,
was-
and it's great.
Supposedly it was based off their comedy routine because they were a duo, Don Knotts and Tim Conway. But in
Yeah,
in
they
that
did a lot of pairings together.
Yeah, and I think in the comedy duo, Tim Conway was the idiot, and then Don Knotts was a little bit smarter. Whereas in this one, they're kind of both equally inept.
I don't know. I think
Amos
Amos
is
is
the
a little
dumb one.
dumber.
Theodore's
He's a little bit dumber, but not like oh well, that guy is definitely the brains. It's like they're both pretty dumb.
I don't know. I kind of view Theodore as the brains.
I mean, he is, but it's not like, oh my god, he's hugely smarter than Amos. You know what I mean? It's where I think in the comedy duo, I mean, both of them were still kind of idiots, but it was pretty obvious who was this. It was pretty obvious who was the really smartest one.
smarter of the two. I do like their introduction. That the first scene of the film gives kind of plays a music cue that they're the bad guys.
Yep.
And then immediately gives away that they're just fools.
Yep. And Donovan doesn't pay them any attention.
No.
No, the whole movie doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, the second attempt, he talks to Dusty about it.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
yeah.
That's just because it's so weird. So odd.
So
the song,
funny.
The song is good. I like the song.
I know we're only in the first thing, but I think this movie would be a lot better if it was just Don Knotts and Tim Conway. I don't know about the rest of it.
They do feel a little placed in to a story.
I mean, it works because they're supposed to be the comic relief, but they're more entertaining and interesting than kind of the rest of it.
I think everyone else has their level of comedy, but it's like a much more deadpan kind of comedy, while theirs is more slapstick. So I think that's why the genres, I think they blended it fairly well, but...
It's just personal.
When we get a shot of Donovan entering the town, it's kind of like a far shot where you can actually see the full town. And I like that they reused that shot for when Dusty in her carriage enters the town as well, except it's daytime.
I think they did it with the fire carriage, too.
Mm-hmm.
When the carriage was on fire.
Well, that was within the town. I meant like
Oh, you mean like okay.
outside. Yeah.
Yes, from the bridge angle.
Yeah, the bridge angle. Couldn't remember if it was a bridge or not.
I honestly thought Donovan was going to be a bad guy until kind of the character changes happened. He seemed unscrupulous, unsavory.
I think they fit that with his outfit choice.
Yeah,
he does,
all
I
black.
think, come across as kind of a bad guy, all black, and then not caring about the kids, but then he comes lighter colored clothing.
Sinister, seeing him as a bad guy, how would he have been portrayed?
I mean, he would have been like whatever freaking the Whitley guy or whatever, being just hitting them for their money.
Oh, Wintle?
Yeah, Wintle. Yeah, like, that's probably how he would have ended up. That's what I imagined.
Okay.
Or like freaking the orphanage like owner's brother in Annie or whatever, that kind of thing too, like some sort of kidnapping or whatever. You know, ransom for money. But obviously that didn't.
He became a kind soul. Well, I mean, he was okay before.
He was
now
always
likes kids.
a kind. Yeah, which I don't blame him. And those kids are annoying.
Yeah, they don't even try.
Yeah, they're not even.
Well, what was the older one's name again? Bobby. I never wrote his name down.
Yeah,
Bobby, I guess, was all right.
Yeah, Bobby was the closest thing to a good kid, but
he was pretty plain.
Yeah. The other two were.
Celia was an affectionate one. Clovis just kicked people, which they weren't consistent with, and that bothered me.
Yeah.
I was gonna write that down. They immediately figured that out. He gets touched like 2 or 3 times after like they establish that without kicking anybody, so it doesn't make any.
Yeah, there were several times where his siblings were touching. I'm like, okay, maybe they get a pass, but it's just.
No, Donovan touches him after like the second time, and when he gets him for the cafe or whatever, and
Dusty touches him too.
But she's a nice lady.
Dusty. That's his future mom.
Yeah, mother, stepmom.
Maybe it's just played of like people he doesn't like. But then again, that's never really come across.
It's
he doesn't like to be touched.
It's a funny gag, and you think they're going to do something with it, and then nope, nothing ever comes of it. It's just a funny little gag they use twice.
They do it at the end. Still well.
I thought her bathroom was going to be relevant. Kind of like the water in Signs. It's like something trivial.
Like the water in Signs.
Yeah, like that's a nothing thing, and then it became relevant. I thought are going to going to the bathroom has to be relevant.
I honestly
What a
didn't
wild
think,
connection.
I didn't think she was going to the bathroom. I thought she was going out and hugging trees or something. And then I realized what it was. And yes, it was very strange.
No, she has a child-sized bladder.
Yes.
But we don't see her drinking
Well,
like
the other
bottled
weird,
water or anything.
yeah. Well, the other weird thing is though, like, oh, you better be careful. If she has an accident, like it's gonna be like some like explosion of diarrhea or something. It's so weird. Yeah, we're gonna go with explosive diarrhea, writer.
No, I just lost my point, so that's why I just.
I'll go with
Okay.
It's passable because of the chance of a shuffled deck, but I would say that deck was not shuffled very well at the beginning. With
So there'd
5
be, like,
diamonds
3.
in a row.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible, but in a deck
Not
of 4
likely.
suits, that's...
I honestly thought there was gonna be a moment where like either the banker or Donovan were like counting cards or like swindling. But he says he's fleecing.
Yeah, I did
They
think
never
that
really-
was going to be a thing later when he was trying to, go in and get all the money back before the village got angry at him. If it gets angry at him.
But sadly, no.
Feel like I'll have better luck coming up. Than
I feel like
he
I'm
did.
about to have better luck.
I guess he did or didn't, depending on your viewpoint.
I got a funny note detail that's clearly out of place, but Dusty has just a red compound notebook. Like, that classic compound notebooks you take to school kind of thing.
Yeah.
It has the white patterning on it. You use the green white patterning, the blue white patterning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the composition books.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that one. What was that?
It was when she's just getting off and she's like crossing things off on her list. Like, I think it's for signing over mail. I think actually is what it's for. But it's just a red compound notebook, and I thought that was funny. It's definitely an error, and it is a mark against it because it's very blatantly obvious that it's a modern notebook.
Oh, I think they would have made it less glaring, as if there was a car in here.
You know what? That could have been.
I looked it up. The when it got invented, 1880s.
The compound notebooks?
Yeah, 1880s.
When is this set? Did they ever say?
This is the gold rush, right?
84. It says it on the nugget. I forget when.
Mm.
No, 97. 1879. Yeah. 1879.
No, hadn't been
Still
invented yet.
before, even with that interesting.
He said 1880, 1879. Yeah, it's passable.
Well,
the books came out in the 80s.
The 1980s?
It's not.
1880s. So it would still have not been
Sorry.
invented yet by the
Sorry.
time this takes place.
I'm sorry, Crimson. That was mean.
Yeah, that's an error. Then.
Yeah, I can't believe the
older than I thought, though.
Yeah.
Actually, me too. That is older than I thought. That is much closer than I thought it would be. Still an error, but not as egregious as one. I'd be curious if they did the dye colors for the covers on the compound notebooks back then, because that would be very expensive, but it would look, more official.
Well, I'm sure it was. I mean, it was. If you're writing it, it was probably meant for people that were like well off. Who knows? Another weird thing. So when they're having, the mail dropped off and everything, and he's talking to Dusty, and then he finds out her name's Magnolia. It sounds like he knows her, but nothing really comes of that. Did anyone else catch that, or am I?
No, No. I saw that as Donovan's always shocked when Dusty is portrayed as a woman.
Oh, he thinks it's
Dusty Tales.
But
she's also a woman in that as well.
Because then he like apologizes for asking if she wants a drink.
Oh. Okay.
So I think that's how it comes across.
Yeah. I must have missed that.
Do you guys think it was good that Donovan and Wintle had a backstory, like a back history, on their interaction with one another, rather than Donovan just trying to do something for greed? it was still a bit out of greed to take his $5.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it was going to be a greed. Yeah.
But to know who Wintle is.
So there's
Okay,
two.
you've been saying Wintle, and I had no idea what you were talking about. John?
The British guy. Yeah.
There's two facets to this for me. I think it's good that they have a backstory. The problem is, I think it introduces the problem of trust. Like Donovan has no reason to trust him because he was betrayed by him.
Yeah,
I
sold him
agree.
the Marshall's horse in Santa Fe.
Yeah,
There's
I like that there is a backstory, but I think it cancels out with the fact that it makes Donovan look dumb.
It's bad history.
Yeah.
I have the only problem I have with it, it has nothing to do with kind of that or like a story trait or something. It's just that there's a backstory, and then he's only in like 2 scenes, and they're both really far apart, and it doesn't really feel like the character matters really.
He only
there could have been
for the money. So.
Well, yeah, and I mean obviously that makes sense, but it feels like the character backstory isn't really warranted because he's only in like 2 scenes. So I don't know. That's my little thing of it.
It's a quick backstory. Like they just do it in like a line of dialogue, which I think is I think that's appropriate just for how little he is in the film. But
yeah, obviously, yeah.
So unfortunately, I'm neutral on that, Springs, because as I said, I think it does damage Donovan a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Even if it's for
I'm kind of I think I'm in agreement with you that it would make him. I mean, it's why he lowers his hat when Wintle walks in. Like he already recognizes him, knows how Wintle works or has screwed him in the past, but he just agrees to it because he just came into town, and in order to stay in the game, there is a transitional cut, so we don't exactly know how long he's been in town in Quake City, but he's out of funds, and Wintle's the only thing right now that's giving him money to stay in. So I think his gambling addiction overweighs the backstab of it.
I don't know if it's addiction.
Well, he does keep leaving the children or going in the film to go gamble.
Yeah, because he fleeces.
He lost the token of affection.
He did.
Got bad luck.
Yeah, I think the sheriff.
Did he ever get that back?
No, he didn't.
No,
I thought it was going to be a plot point.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be relevant.
I think the sheriff gives us a bit of a backstory here as well to the town, like as to why it's not functioning anymore. They had an earthquake which slowed the city, and then the second earthquake pretty much just made it stop.
Yeah.
The earthquake. I don't know. I don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, earthquakes were very detrimental to.
Oh yeah.
But I guess it would definitely slow things going to and from town. But I think it's serviceable because the story is so small, and it's a very self-contained story. If they had tried, if they had tried to expand it out, I don't think that backstory would have worked. But I think it's just functional, just barely.
I guess another element into Donovan going with Wintle's funds and agreeing is because he's feeling lucky, as he tells the sheriff.
Feeling lucky, are you?
So that could just be playing into his attitude as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is he still has to agree to take something from him.
True. Mm-hmm. As he sees or just hears is valuable. Something valuable, and he's kind of in that,
I mean, he does instantly lose whatever his payment was.
Oh yeah, the banker immediately wins.
Yeah. So he didn't really get paid, but I mean, essentially he did. Yeah, I mean, I think overall the big character introductions for this are decent. I mean, as far as just kind of hacked together.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty decent.
I really like how the town looked. I'm going through my head all the westerns I've seen, and it's probably one of my favorite looking ones. It seemed really authentic. I think the trees that they had there, in and outside the town, really helped with the aesthetic.
Makes it feel like not a set.
Yeah.
Does anyone recognize any of the locations?
No.
The famous Carnaby Street, right?
Oh.
talking about like
I-
the signs that were on
No, the location.
buildings? Nope.
I mean, it looks like. I mean, for me, it looks like every other Western town.
Oh, well, the town itself was filmed in Rosamond, California. But
California.
the outside shots, like around, like with the horses on, leaving the town and the whole fire truck at the end and entering the town and everything, was Deschutes National Forest in Oregon. Which makes me believe the first instance where what's her name? Celia has to go. The mountain in the background is probably Mount Hood.
I didn't really notice a mountain in the background, so I'll say yes.
That's bad. Isn't this California?
Oh, it's
Well,
filmed.
location shot.
No. I mean, the story takes place in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with I'm just pointing out it's fun. But yeah,
Oh, it does take place in California.
yeah, it does. It's explicitly during the California Gold Rush.
Yeah, they say Quake City's in California.
Big cities in California, and I got less teeth and something with a lot of no teeth.
There you go.
It works though. Like I said, I do think the trees help make it feel like a real place on the outside of the town. Because
Like a little.
a lot of things with early set design and work was just depth of field was a lot of the issue. Usually the issue. You can tell when people are on sets and when they're not.
Well, and a lot of them were just like in the middle of nowhere, and they just set up a bunch of shacks and stuff, fronts, and then that was about it.
Yep.
Yeah, or they had painted backdrops,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that was also a lot of those little shanty town stuff. But I don't think it was all of the West. Wild West.
Wild Wild West. Bam.
Yes, exactly.
Sure, that's
Did
Spence's
anyone-
favorite Western.
What?
Wild
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 West. Will Smith.
I've never seen the Wild Wild
John
West.
Cusack.
Oh,
Well, that'll be a pick.
Did anyone notice the names of characters in the beginning intro?
Yeah, like Clovis, Homer, Donovan, Dusty, Bobby.
Are you going somewhere with the
Celia.
springs?
Well, yeah, like names like Slippery Sid, Fast Eddie, Cheatin' Charlie, Bigfoot,
Oh, I was supposed to read the intro.
Broadway Phil. I was just curious if anyone else read the names of characters.
No,
Nope.
Poker
I tune out.
Polly. Someone was just the mouthpiece.
I tune out like the opening titles.
Kind of the same, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
are those real or are those just like a little gag or something?
Those are character names in the film.
Even though we're not introduced to all the characters, they're just like background characters. That's fair. I think that can work.
Yeah.
So it is a gag.
It's their way of naming everybody in town
Like-
without having to name.
Yeah,
everybody in town.
The actor Don Little Sky played Bigfoot.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot in the film.
Yeah, which one was that?
I don't know.
one of the poker buddies.
Yeah, one
James
of the.
E. Broadhead played the mouthpiece.
I think I know that guy.
I guess the only one that's a little bit of a silly name, but a real name. Slim Pickens plays Stillwell.
Is that his real name, Slim Pickens?
That's-
Slim Pickens.
Yep, that's his credit, his name.
Oh man, his parents had fun with that.
That's not his real name.
That'd be cruel if it was.
It's not.
Ow.
The stage name.
Stage name. Okay.
Real name, Louis Burton Lindley Jr.
Slim Pickens sounds cooler.
Slim Pickens does sound cooler. It's a good thing he changed it. Though he really did pigeonhole himself into just doing westerns then. You're not going to see Slim Pickens doing Shakespeare.
Slim Pickens Private Eye.
No, it's too western. It's
Slim Pickens Night of the Round Table.
No. Yeah, that's it. I guess he just wanted to do western. But I mean, that's fair.
Funny to see him with Yo Jimbo.
Oh.
Jimbo. Slim Pickens does Yojimbo.
I like that the sheriff keeps Donovan honest when the kids arrive.
Wait, are you sure it's the sheriff and it's not the barber? Or maybe it's the judge.
Yeah, it's the same. Homer McCoy. There we go.
Homer McCoy.
Yeah, keeps Donovan to his word of remembering everything of the night before.
You know, originally those were 3 separate roles. The guy was just like, no, I'm going to do all 3.
That'd be funny, but I doubt that.
No, because I think that's fairly historically accurate, right? That like the sheriff was like a bunch of different. I don't think a barber.
Oh, yeah, especially for a small town.
Yeah,
like
I don't.
Like he hit like blending being a judge with you being a sheriff. That's reasonable. I believe that. Don't think he would have been a barber.
No, I think the barber would have been a step too far.
I think it's a funny gag though when he's giving the haircut, the shave. He says 2 bits. I only did half a shave.
Yeah, full shave.
Full shave is 4. Yeah. Crimson, what's a bit?
What's a bit?
Yeah, what's a bit in currency? What is the 2 bits?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you actually would know.
I mean, it's a safe bet. I do like my coins, but I don't know what a bit is in 18.
Apparently, it's 1 quarter.
Interesting. That makes sense. Actually,
I got a question that Crimson might get out of that. Crimson, who plays 2-bit Steve in The Outsiders?
I don't remember.
You don't know who plays 2-bit Steve?
No.
Oh, it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's Tom.
I saw that movie in middle school. I'm not remembering
It's
that.
been a while. Okay.
You went to school?
Shockingly.
I was just gonna say, does anyone find it weird that Dusty knows so much about the situation with the kids? Has so much info on it.
I think with living cargo, essentially, was what they are. You kind of have to know.
I think she knows. I'm pretty sure she could have just talked to the kids too. It's theoretically it was a long trip.
Well, yeah, because she had to pull over to go to the bathroom 50 times.
Yeah, I'm sure she would have found out somehow. I don't think it's that weird.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad.
So the visual gags here, I think I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit to the dinner making scene when Donovan's making them dinner or trying to make dinner before Dusty saves the night.
Oh, the salt pork.
Yeah. That caught on fire really fucking fast. I like the gag, just pointing it out. Then I think the one I don't, because that one works fine. I understand the visual gag. That was funny in a way. I think the one that doesn't work for me is why Celia just decided to sit there and get wet instead of moving. Like
there's no more dry spots. Yeah. They said that.
But they're the ones responsible for moving her around. I don't understand why she can't move around herself.
I don't know. Maybe she'll go to the bathroom if she moves. I don't know.
I think she's just so uncomfortable in this situation that she doesn't want to get in people's way. Because even Bobby and Clovis are messing around with whatever they found that Donovan's telling them to stop.
She didn't really seem uncomfortable to me.
She does not have a face of discomfort. She just complains when she gets wet. When I'm just like, she can move herself. Like she's old enough to do that. She may not understand fully her situation that she's in, but she is capable of moving herself to not get wet.
Well, these kids are very manipulative, so the tactic of hers to get close to him.
That's true. I did write that down. They are very good at what they're trying to do.
Is it at this point that they want to get close to him?
I mean, they don't really know him at this point. Pretty much their only lifeline, though.
Yeah. Any port in a storm, right?
Yeah, there you
go. What was it that when Homer came to visit them, he quotes, "You don't steal his wife, woman, or whiskey."
You don't steal a man's wife, woman, or wait. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, wife, woman, or whiskey.
So everyone caught that?
Yeah.
Do you think Flip would like Homer? So you just threw out 3 dubs.
You're throwing on names that I can't connect to anything.
All right, that's a reference back to us covering Slumberland.
Slumberland. I kicked that out of my brain.
I tried. To be fair, I didn't understand it. I mean, you know.
I think that was also
Jason
cold open
Momoa.
quote.
I
Slumberland
knew
with
what
3 dubs.
I knew what you were talking about. I wasn't thinking of Slumberland. I was thinking of Little Nemo. And I was like, what are you talking about? You haven't seen that movie.
Oh, good to know. There's more 3 dubs out there.
Don't know what 3 dubs is.
3 W's.
What are they?
Wife, woman, and whiskey.
That's for this, and then there's,
What,
I
Apple
know
Dumpling?
there's 3 W's for Slumberland. I don't remember what they were in Slumberland, but yeah, I get
It
what you're saying.
was. Ah, shoot.
Oh, now somebody's on the.
No, it's women. Women waffles are the second and third. I forget what the first one was.
Okay,
It's
that's
like
not.
wine,
That's
women
not Little
waffles.
Nemo.
I don't know. I think you would have said whiskey too, actually. Possibly.
I can safely say 3 W's is not in Little Nemo.
Yeah, it was wine, women, and waffles.
All right. Fair enough.
And you're making waffles? Okay. Not making waffles. All right. Good to know.
The town folk here aren't the best suitable parents for these children.
Oh no.
You don't
No,
think so?
It turns out pretty much just the sheriff and the banker and Dusty are the only good people in the town, I guess.
Well, and Dusty's dad. He's a reasonable gentleman.
Yeah, he's a weird
Colonel
character.
Sanders?
He seemed like a smart, well put together guy when we get introduced, and then by the end he just kind of goes like, weird.
Well, because he's an alcoholic.
He just goes for that booze and doesn't stop.
Yeah. That's his weakness. Is he's an alcoholic.
No, he's a drunk.
Otherwise-
Alcoholics are quitters.
I guess you're right.
Where's the corkscrew?
He's a lush. There we go. He's a lush. He's a real I can't. He's a famous comedian. He's like a lush. But yeah, the whole town is all deplorable people.
Well,
but that was the Wild
hard
West.
times. There's no gold anymore. They got no money going in and out of town.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're in a gold rush town. Once the gold rushes up, it's all gone.
Until this magic nugget falls from the sky.
It doesn't fall from the sky.
No, it doesn't. It falls from the ceiling, though.
Yeah. It appears. Could have come out
So-
of the ground.
Was that the Well, no, that's too. I can't talk about that. We're still in the first act.
I don't really think I have anything else for the act, though.
You don't want to talk about. Yeah.
Now it's convenient that Dusty showed up with Stu right when the food burned. Was she the answer to his prayer? To Donovan's prayer?
You mean the prayer to nothing?
Yeah.
What he said?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, he's
Who
not
are you
listening.
talking to? Nobody.
Nobody.
And if there is somebody, he ain't listening.
And then Dusty shows up.
I feel like it's weird how this stranger just comes in, Donovan, and they're just shoving Dusty and him together like nobody's business. It's a little bit later on, but it's very strange.
The shippers in this town are very, very
Yeah.
verbose, as they say.
Yeah, they're like, well, there's only one other woman in this whole town.
I mean, there's
don't-
the chicken lady. The
Yeah.
very fine woman is Donovan.
Actually, wait, no, he doesn't just say like there's only one woman. She's literally the only good woman in the whole town. Everybody else is.
See that? There you go.
There you go.
Because there's Mildred.
Yeah, the shotgun
Maneater
one.
Mildred.
I don't think the sheriff calls her man-eater, but okay.
Maneater.
The 80-year-old man-eater.
And there was the other lady that shows up at the end with the fucking double barrel shotgun to shoot at the.
Hey, that's a real woman right there. Sturdy.
Yeah, sheriff tells her thank you. Well, thanks for pitching
Yeah.
in. when they were.
Is that not Mildred?
I don't know.
That's Mildred.
Is that Mildred? Okay.
Hey, writers, maybe pick a more diverse cast of names here.
Actually, Mildred was a name used because it was it was a fact. It was used for a reason because the actor who played Homer played a character named Mildred on a different show at the same time.
All right, that's simple to me. It's fun. It's a little funny gag. Writers do that.
Only in 1970s Disney would you get a gag like that. Yeah, I don't have anything else for this actor.
I think my last note is I do like the back and forth between Dusty and Donovan here, because Dusty just Donovan's clearly just trying to push the kids off on her, and she doesn't have any of it. She likes the kids, but it's not her responsibility.
It's an interesting changeover by the end.
I have the fact here. It's actually not Mildred.
It's not Manny or Mildred?
Oh. No, it is Mildred. Sorry. It is Mildred. My mistake.
Whoa, what a roller coaster.
No.
My God.
Okay, hang on. I was reading the wrong thing. I'm sorry. During the shootout in front of the bank, Harry Morgan, who's Homer, tells the woman next to him, "Cover me, Mildred." Mildred was also the name of the wife of Harry Morgan's iconic Colonel Sherman Potter on MASH, filmed at the same time.
That's what I knew him from. It was bugging me.
Bugging me, wasn't it?
It was.
It might just be because I've watched a bunch of Ulysses S. Grant documentaries recently, but I quite enjoy the cigar aesthetic that Donovan's got going with him. And I like
it. A cigar?
It's a cigar.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
definitely has one in his house.
Yeah, Donovan's definitely a cigar guy. Amos is
really
almost not a cigarette, but
Amos tries to be a drinking guy, but Theodore doesn't let him.
That's a funny gag.
That is a funny gag.
That's probably one of my favorite little gags in the movie.
But I guess on that note, I also like that we get introduced to kind of like Donovan's not cold-hearted when Celia wakes up and just wants cuddles to go back to sleep.
Yeah. He's accepting. I mean, he's at the point where the kids are stuck. He's stuck with the kids.
Yeah, but he's not cold-hearted enough to not allow that, which is, I think, it kind of helps for things later on. So, just pointing it out.
In fact, she brings the leaks with her to him.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it starts leaking on him.
Yeah. Follows her around.
There's no dry spots left.
The Lord haveth a sense of humor, apparently.
Well, that's all I have for the act.
Yeah.
Does anyone say anything else?
Nope.
Goes through quite a rowdy bunch of people to sell the kids off. To give them away.
Yeah. I like how they progressively get worse and worse.
Well, he does want the best for them. He goes for the best
yeah.
candidates, and then he runs down to the worst.
When desperation starts to seep in.
I didn't understand what did Celia do? She just went in the chicken coop and they just freaked out. I didn't understand.
Well, she opened and the dog went in.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my other guess, but I didn't.
And the dog didn't kill any, so good luck on their part.
Yeah.
But chickens do die later. That's for certain.
That's for certain.
Yep.
Actually, I guess it is a little scene to show that you brought up if they're trying to get buddy with Donovan to give him, manipulate him to keep in with him. At this point, we know they're against, because when he tells them not to get their shoes wet, they immediately go into the puddle.
Yep, they do not care.
After the salt pork too.
All right, yeah, but that's all I got for this act.
All right, on to Act 2, which goes from here to Theodore and Amos trying to drop water on Donovan. And honest, I guess Donovan also talking to Dusty about him.
I'm going to be honest, Celia standing in the middle of the road is really dumb. Don't know why they had her do that. She just kind of...
Because they have to have a moment of him showing human decency. And that's the only way you can.
I understand the point of it. It's just
Yeah.
she just kind of just stops following her siblings around instead of
Well, it's the boy in Spider-Man who just stands there while the building's falling on him
Yeah, it's
during
kind of
the parade.
yeah, it's kind of what it reminds me of.
I'm sorry. Have you had a building fall on you and you immediately known exactly what to do in that moment?
I almost had a building fall on me. Does that count?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I moved
I get-
out of the way.
Oh, okay.
It's against the rules. Someone's supposed to save you.
Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one.
I think she was just shocked. What
Yeah, obviously,
I
that's
think
the
her
intention
staying
they're going
still,
for.
yeah, staying still is shocked. What I don't think matches up is when she says "look," and when she says "look" or stops to look, the carriage isn't around the corner yet, so she's not looking at anything.
Yeah, you can only hear the coming sounds of what's coming, which, because it's not, because there's a thing where there's a shock factor, right, when it comes to children.
Yeah,
You could definitely have her like turn around and see them barreling right towards her, and that might scare her, and that might scare her stiff into standing still where she needs to be saved. But there's a little too much here where it's around the corner. She can't hear any. She can only hear something. That's not really enough for children, especially when they're with their siblings and they're keeping up or crossing the street. So I have a. It's not a huge issue, it's just a minor one. Because again, the point of this is to facilitate Donovan saving her, which I do like. Because that's
I'm glad you like that he saves her.
Yeah, it'd be a little weird.
I'd be really. Yeah, I'd be concerned if you wanted a smushed child in the. Yeah.
I don't think this would be a comedy at that point. It should be a tragedy. Or it
could be a black comedy.
It could be, they turn it into a version of Brain Dead. Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, where's our brain dead westerns?
I would like a zombie western. That would be really cool. They did that in Red Dead Redemption.
They did Undead Nightmare.
Mm-hmm. That's an untapped market. Writers, write that down.
You got aliens.
I feel like Aliens is dumber than zombies.
I know. That feels so much more like crazy in concept.
I think the hard thing about like a zombie western is that everybody would be strapped.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be much of an issue to take them out.
I guess, but
they don't do like special zombies.
Yeah, like Resident Evil level zombies, where mutated. Yeah, it's an idea. There we go. Recommend us any zombie westerns if there's any out there.
There probably is one.
Yeah, that seems like way too obvious that there's not anything.
No. The kids just on the run and going around while Donovan's in the bar.
Yeah, stay out of trouble. Immediately gets into all the trouble.
Yeah. I was curious if, you know what, I'll say, Sinister, did you catch any error with the music machine thing?
I mean,
being a music man.
I mean, it wasn't playing accurate notes.
No, I don't think it was tuned at all.
No. I mean, those things did exist.
I think the sound was out of sync as well.
Yeah, it was out of sync. But I mean, those types of machines did exist in real life, so that those are accurate.
Yes, the music machine is accurate to the time period.
Yeah.
However, what is not accurate to the time period is the banjo is seen having a Remo head on it.
Yeah.
And Remo was not founded until 1957.
Oh, you knew that?
Did you have to look up Goofs? Yeah, did you look up Goofs or whatever, the IMDb?
Yeah.
Giving my secrets away.
It's everybody's secret.
We're a movie podcast. It's an open secret for people like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would love it if you looked up and like, Remo? What's Remo? If you ever listen, I won't accuse you of that ever again unless you otherwise state it.
Okay. If I state it as a fact I actually knew or something, then yeah.
Yeah. and I'll be impressed. But
I think a movie like this totally fits the comedic tone and everything by having the cliche of a giant glass stain in the middle of the road. It's
Oh
like
my
a
God.
mirror or a glass pane.
Yep.
imagine how
I agree.
I would love to go to a time where that was like super surprising. Like whatever like the first movie was that did that, and go watch it and be amazed. That would.
I think
that joke is so overused.
it's used a lot. I think the first one is fitting, and it's like, oh man, I think the second one is funny.
Second one.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they have
when it gets
another
shot.
vein and it gets shot.
Yeah.
I think the second one's funnier. The first one's like, oh,
The guy shot his
shit.
own reflection, which is funny to me.
Yeah.
He did.
I mean,
Well,
that's the
actually-
funny part.
Actually, there was no
was
reflection on
just
the
paper.
backside.
Yeah.
It was the brown paper. So we
It
just
was
shot
literally
it.
the worst shot in history. I don't know what he was aiming at.
He's
He had to shoot-
contributing. He's just making noise with
Yeah.
his puff with gun.
He had to
Mhm.
shoot the mirror to shoot through it.
But
Rip the people who
Also-
were trying to carry that away.
I don't know. The guy said the mirror was $300,
mhm.
which is really expensive.
especially for Old West.
Yeah, inflation calculators say it's about $9,153.
Well, do you
For
think it
that
was the
mirror.
mirror or do you think it was the frame?
I mean, both.
How would the
It was
town be able to
The
expensive.
afford
frame is
that?
the mirror.
It
so-
was expensive both to find, a mirrored thing and then also to cut it for a specific frame. It was probably hugely expensive, especially for the time.
$9,000 for that, and whatever the
Hey.
instrument.
Hey, $9,000 today. Nobody's paying for that, okay?
No, not for a mirror.
No, but back then
It's
I
a
can
specialized
imagine
mirror.
$300 sounds reasonable, especially with the frame. Like, it was really
I
hard
don't-
to find mirrors.
I don't know how the town can afford it, but it is the banker, right? That's buying.
No, it's the
No.
saloon guy, right? Who would
well,
who would technically have the money because he has the
neither.
alcohol. Oh,
No,
was
the
there?
owner of the mirror and the instrument was doing his own business there. It was his own.
Oh yeah.
building, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah. I forgot that because the mining cart crashes in there and wrecks everything supposedly.
Yep.
I got the impression that he was doing the whole. We watched the musical with Hugh Jackman in Springs. What's the name?
Greatest Showman.
Christian.
It gave me Greatest Showman vibes of him making a fucking, like a Smithsonian / tiny museum in the town. Like he was just collecting things that were expensive and rare for the townsfolk to see, and that was going to be his business.
That would probably be a cooler thing than what it actually is.
Yeah, I have no idea what it actually is, but that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, well, it's lazy actually.
All right, I guess we're at the point now to talk about the minecart scene.
I mean,
The
the
iconic
famous
scene of this movie.
the famous scene, the scene that
I don't
created
know
the
if it's
ride at
famous scene,
Disneyland.
but this scene has not aged well at all.
No, it has
A
not.
lot of the scenes in this have not aged well.
I think anything to do with a back set. No, I don't even think it's green screen. I don't think they had green screen at
No.
that point. So this
No.
is a staged, mechanical ride with a moving background in a set where they did it with Dusty on the carriage.
horse.
They do it here and they do it with the
I
They do the chase in the
Donovan
end, too.
and Stillwell. Oh yeah.
I think it's worse just because they intercut it with actual camera, that they actually filmed, not backdrop. It's weird.
It
Yeah,
definitely
with the
shows
dummies
its
on it.
age.
Yeah. It's like if they just did one, it would be understandable. Because they do two, it doesn't make any sense.
I think they
I mean-
do it just to get the facial features of the kids. That way
Yeah.
it's not entirely voiceover work.
I guess so.
Also, some of it's dummies. Some of it is stunt performers are actually in it because there is movement of people in it.
Yep.
And the oldest kid, his stunt person looked really old. And not like a kid at all.
No,
Yeah, and
Well, there's not
Dusty,
really any short stunt performers.
and Dusty's stunt performer later on also just looked like a ginger man.
It was
that's
the
this
dude,
guy.
yeah. That was
That's
hilarious.
just, yeah, that was back when you could just be a dude.
When she got on the horse, that
Yeah.
was funny.
And well, okay, I'll throw away that a little bit later. Oh, I had a complaint. It's gone. God damn it.
The fact that the cart wouldn't actually
Oh yeah.
roll down the hill like that.
Oh yeah. Physics got destroyed again, but you know, for gags.
Man, it sucks that yeah.
Einstein took the L again. Damn.
Yeah, Einstein spent all that time coming up with all those physics theories. Movies just piss on him.
Without the sheriff present for
Yeah.
the angry mob going up to Donovan, is that just essentially stealing and thievery?
Yep. That's what I wrote down. Sheriff just allows this, or
I mean, sheriff's not around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they say
Especially since
yeah.
the guy right before says, "Get the sheriff."
Yeah, and no one's
And
there.
he's not there.
They just go up to him and steal money. So like the optimistic reading is they just got permission from the sheriff to do this, but I don't think they did. They were too angry to do that.
Yeah, because you couldn't. Because he would have to give a specific amount of money that he's owed. He couldn't just be like, "This is worth this. This is worth that," and
Yeah,
then
this
just
is
take.
Definitely theft.
Yes.
And I just said, "Wow,
Yes.
what a lawful town you have, sheriff." Kind of in my notes because
I mean, it's historically accurate. That's pretty much how it worked. Yeah, a lot of the time.
Well, I guess it's just lucky that Donovan had a wad of cash in his hand. They came up.
Yeah, that he just won.
Yeah. I find it weird that because the sheriff is willing to keep Donovan here, and he alludes to hunting him down if he takes a long horse ride. All he has to do is take the kids out of the sheriff's jurisdiction, and the sheriff can't do shit. Because I mean, why would he do anything for him that he didn't do for the man that left the kids here originally? Because they allude to the fact that they don't like him and would have hunted him down.
Yeah, it's also weird because the guy just said precious cargo or whatever, like didn't tell him it was kids, and so that does. I mean, obviously in a real court, and they kind of do like the fake trial thing or whatever. It's in a real court, it wouldn't stand because they'd be like, yeah, I had no idea what I was agreeing to, so I shouldn't be held responsible. Which I was like, no,
This is the West.
This is the West, where the mayor or the judge is also the sheriff, who's also the barber, which is a conflict of interest.
He's also the executioner.
And actually, the sheriff plays off like a mayor.
Yep.
There is no mayor.
Yep, I agree.
But what is a mayor?
Someone who runs a town or city. Who then gives it to the governor, and the governor gives it to, the line, the ladder, or whatever.
The line, the ladder.
I don't know. It's not my forte.
You didn't study the law?
I studied criminal law for a little.
You study crimson law?
No.
Yeah, my laws. We get the stereotypical. It happens in a lot of old stuff. It's so funny just because it's so dated now. But the Asian gong sound whenever like an Asian shows up on screen.
Yeah, that's true. The laundry immigrants. I wrote that down. I'm like, that's a little weird, but okay, movie.
So
That's
funny because it's just
Disney.
so outdated. Well, don't old anything. That was just what they did.
Here's the thing. At least they were actually Asian, and they weren't just like yellow face or something like fucking Mickey Rooney or.
And at least it's historically accurate too. They did build the railroad.
Yeah.
But they're doing laundry. That's not the
around the
railroad.
Yeah, but presumably they didn't go
They gotta
anywhere.
live
They
somewhere.
finished the- yeah.
You gotta have something once those are built. Yeah, you're right. Thank God it's not a Song of the South level Disney, but
No. I think that was even before this.
that was. It was. We'll review a bootleg of that at some point. I don't really want to, though. Thank you. No, thank you.
No. I think the more what was it? The more connection or the more showing across of the relationship of Theodore and Amos next of just the whole how they're gonna get Donovan, and Amos puts his gun in upside down, and he just keeps. He thinks he's
I ain't
so
got
good
no
at doing
lead.
a whipper. What was it? Whippoorwill.
Whippoorwill, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
You thought that was more for their relationship?
Well, beforehand, you just have
Oh, got
you
it.
have them
Yeah.
failing as clutch as the beginning. Then you have like their plan to do this, where Amos doesn't have math skills and thinks 200 is half of 500, and Theodore's got a plan, and then he gets his foot stuck in the spittoon.
Yeah,
And then-
we have the drink gag.
Yeah, now we actually have a bit of dialogue amongst the two, back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a great idea if we had some lead to sling.
Got no
Last
lead to
time,
sling and no powder to sling it with.
Yeah. Again, I think this movie would be a lot better if it was just focusing on Theodore and Amos, but that's my opinion.
I think, yeah. Well, I think their gags.
I think it'd be better if they
much.
weren't in it.
Oh.
The difference.
Wow, what you're saying? Me and Crimson are on opposite sides of the pond again? That's never happened before.
It's not their movie.
But
They're the
who's
faces of the movie.
Who's the Apple
Well, because
Dumpling
they're
Gang?
celebrities. Well, they're not the Apple Dumpling Gang. The kids and whatever they're part of is the Apple Dumpling Gang.
They never refer to themselves as
well,
Apple Dumpling Gang.
well,
The song does.
The
Oh.
implication is at the end of the film, when they are all together riding off, including these two, they are then the Apple Dumpling Gang.
No.
No, I'm telling you, that's what the
No,
movie
no,
says. So
In first, there's the Stillwell Gang, and they're their own thing. Amos and Theodore left, and they're the Hash Knife Gang.
yeah,
The three kids like apple dumplings. When they go to tell Theodore and Amos that they're going to give their gold to them, and Theodore and Amos said, "We can't do that. We got to like rob it or whatever." And Amos comes up with the idea. It's like, oh, it was done by the Apple Dumpling Gang. So he refers to the kids as the gang.
yes, which is then changed by the end, because now all
At
of them,
the end, they're all grouped as the Apple Dumpling Gang. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was
But
saying.
it's-
I'm saying it initially gets told that the three children are the Apple Dumpling Gang to start with.
Okay, I agree
It's
with
not the
that.
end of
Yeah,
the film.
that's not what I was. Yeah.
But let me
I
ask
agree with
Crimson
that.
a question. Do you think those kids are deserving of having their own, really, at the end of the day?
There'd have to be some reworking of the script. I don't see why that couldn't be. But as they are, no.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think, as this movie is, Theodore and Amos are the better parts of it, and I feel like everything else that's supposed to be the focus is weaker. So I would have rather seen a movie about those two than all those like 5 other people they're making a movie about.
Sure, I'm fine with that if they have their own like spin-off.
To not
That's
change,
fine.
in order for the story to function as it is, the people, Theodore and Amos being cut wouldn't change a thing about the story.
You're right. I will submit to that.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that. But I think the heart of the movie
Oh, I
is
agree.
more in-
They're absolutely
yeah, is
the
more
comic
in-
relief, yeah.
yeah, like
Is the biggest plot thing they play is blowing up the bank?
Yeah,
Yeah.
blowing up the gold.
Like I said,
Pretty much there.
removing them wouldn't change the story at all. Other than that bank wouldn't just be blown up, and the gold would still be there. That would be the only difference at the end. And
technically this
because
Stillwell gang
everything,
could have bought the
everything,
dynamite.
everything would have progressed normally. The Stillwell gang tries to get away. The Justice Department shows up. Shootout ensues as they try to get away. And it's,
You know, it's
The
unfortunate.
only
It's
difference
gone
is
off-
the kids wouldn't have gone to the bank with them to get captured by the other gang. I guess would be the only other difference.
Yeah,
Because the whole reason they were at the bank because they enlisted their help to get the gold.
but I agree. Theodore and Amos are supposed to be the heart of the film. So
do they get the gold in this act, or is that the next one?
I think it's
The
the
Nugget.
next one.
Yeah, I was pretty sure.
Because there's 2 attempts at robbery for Donovan.
It's the next
Yeah.
one.
Well, one, not a robbery for Donovan in the second one, but
I will
he's
say-
not placed.
I didn't really understand the whole bucket thing because obviously it was going to go
Oh, that's a
over
dumb idea.
Wet powder.
I mean, it got on Theodore, but it didn't stop him.
Somehow.
Yeah,
The odds of that working in general is pretty slim.
Like I said, they're wily
It would have been better
coyotes.
if he was just around the corner with a plastic bag and put it over his head.
Plastic bags wouldn't eventually get crimson.
Whatever, sack, whatever. But put his sack
Potato
around his head.
sack. Potato sack.
I don't know the name of what a potato. Burlap. There we go.
Burlap. There. Burlap
Like,
sack.
why was I blanking on the name? Yeah.
Because we don't say it very often.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's comical.
I mean,
but
they're dumb. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the main reason. But he's supposed to be the smart one of the two with the plans.
You keep saying that. You keep saying he's supposed to be the
He
smart
is.
one. Yeah, but he.
I don't
Yeah,
think
the
they're on the
who-
same level of stupid.
Real
They're not
smart.
that far apart, though. It's my argument. They're closer than they are apart. Obviously, Amos is, is the stupidest one, but I don't think Theodore is like Einstein in comparison.
I agree they're both dumber than the kids.
The kids are freaking genius.
Man, have you seen their level of manipulation work? God, it puts them
Yeah, they're
really,
Yeah.
really
Professionals.
Yeah.
they should be grifters. I mean, honestly.
Or is Donovan just that gullible?
I mean, he knew what they were doing.
He knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
That was the point of it. That he just, that's what I did like. Is I was annoyed that he wasn't gonna figure it out, but at the end, he's like, he calls them manipulators and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, so he's self-aware. now.
Swindlers. Yeah.
Swindlers.
Yeah, which I think is better than him just being dumb.
I think that's always the case.
Three
That's always-
little kids, huh?
Three widow kids.
Three little swindlers, more like it.
Whoa. This movie?
One thing I do like is that Donovan's armed and has Theodore at gunpoint because Theodore's making weird noises.
That
Little-
freaking what do they call it? It's like a
It's
blue
not even
bar-
a revolver. It's
no,
so
it's
small.
they have a name for it and I can't remember. Because a lot of burlesque are like
Easy to
Wild
conceal
West strip.
pistol.
Yeah.
Is it the one that
can't remember the name,
in
though.
Django Unchained? Is it the one that Christopher Waltz has up his arm?
Yes.
No, it's the one that Ezio Auditore has attached to
it's-
his hidden blade in Assassin's
It's really
Creed 2.
similar.
Oh, a gun.
Well-
Yeah.
Both are really similar. But yeah, I think his is a little bit different, but I can't remember the name of it. It's like
It's a little.
Is it a
two-shot.
Dillinger?
I think it might be a Dillinger.
Sorry, my expertise.
Derringer. That's Derringer. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Sorry, my
Derringer.
expertise on guns at this time is related only to muskets and carbines, unfortunately.
I mean, everything else is just like a 6-shooter. Doesn't not even
Exactly.
that
That's why that's why I don't bother with everything else.
Smith and Western.
Smith and Western. Yeah,
And Colts.
it's a Derringer pistol.
Cattleman. Navy. Yeah. Anyway. Whatever that famous gold one with the pearl hilt is, Yeah.
Um,
Theodore Roosevelt had or something.
Theodore
I think
Roosevelt.
that was a Colt.
Your boy Teddy.
100%.
Your boy Teddy. Yeah. Oh yeah, Colt revolver.
Now, I'm gonna say this next part is neutral because it balances out. Showing the transitional next part of Dusty admiring the brass bed is a show of her character of like, oh, this is something she likes or wants. Followed immediately by a ton of telling everything about the connection of Theodore and Amos to Donovan.
What?
What? I'm confused. What were we talking about?
From a show not tell.
Oh, so you were saying that Amos and Theodore are obvious, and hers is a little bit more cryptic.
No, I'm saying the following is
They're reversed.
this next part is neutral to me because it shows a show of Dusty admiring the bed without
Oh.
saying she wants the bed or talking about it, immediately followed by telling all this stuff to Donovan about Theodore and Amos.
Okay, but that's not a bad thing
I think-
though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm neutral.
Yeah, he's saying
here.
neutral.
The thing about this film that I think is bad is they do so much tell. There's so much
Well,
tell in this
yeah,
movie.
it's a spoon-fed movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question is that's not a bad thing inherently though.
That's how you do it.
This is gonna go back to our previous recap.
No, this is a back and forth on you and I, writer, because it's writing and the writing's done well and it's expressed well. To me, I prefer more of the show. If the show is shown over being told.
Okay,
like you said, prefer. That's like subjective. That's a preference.
This is gonna go back to our previous recap, which is where we had the discussion on how like I don't understand why an overuse of something makes it inherently bad. So, like, you know, how you say an overuse of specific camera angles makes it inherently bad. Here, an overuse of telling is inherently bad. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense.
I think it is because they show a use of show over it. For example, the brass bed.
Okay, so then this is going to branch out. Broadly then, the fact that everyone uses the hero's journey, is that overuse?
Absolutely.
Is everything...
Absolutely.
Is that inherently bad now that everyone uses the hero's journey?
Oh, it gets diluted.
Oh my goodness!
They can do it differently and creatively in different ways, but if it's the same path of the 7 stages, it's
it's about execution. That's the point.
There's only 6 stories in Hollywood though, so inevitably everything's going to be similar.
Yeah, it's the creative differences and changes that they go and approach it. Like if they, for example, the hero's journey, if they change to 5 and 6 are swapped, or if one's taken out, or something like that, it's a difference in it that's not like we've seen this before. We've heard this story before.
Well, okay. Do you like Rick and Morty?
Early work.
Okay, but ostensibly every episode is the hero's journey and diluted into one single thing, because that's Dan Harmon's whole thing is the circle, and so there's the hero's journey and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So is that... does that mean that if essentially every episode is like that? I know you only said you like the stuff, but whatever. But doesn't that mean that like every episode of that is essentially the same thing, and so it's objectively boring because you know exactly how it's going to go?
It can merit it because of it's like seen as a bone structure, like the background of the plot or the story or whatever's going on, the bone structure, but then it's layered with the theme, the character, the idea, the change, the creative, like that's all on top of it.
Okay, so objectively it's bad, but subjectively it's not bad.
I subjectively prefer show over tell. I objectively see it as you have shown that you can use show and you are using that as such, but you're preferably using more and more tell in it.
Yeah,
but that's not a bad thing, is my point.
I think it depends on the film itself. If it's a full dialogue film and it's like creatively, like The Lighthouse, for example, huge, tons of dialogue, lots of talk. My Dinner with Andre, yes, lots of talk. For something like that, tell is the point of it. That is the main thing. Like the dialogue, the writing is the main chunk of meat of it to take a bite out of. The show isn't. There's very little show, if any. I don't think in My Dinner with Andre there is any.
Then let's pick on something with extremely strong dialogue then, which would be Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay.
So that is a mostly tell story. Like they show some things, right, but that is mostly tell. Because the dialogue, they backfill everything in dialogue. That's how they tell you the story. So that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that movie is more inherently tell than show doesn't make it inherently a bad thing, objectively.
Objectively, yeah. For that example, I think subjectively it does.
So so subjectively, Shawshank Redemption is made worse because it's tell over show.
Do you know any show example that they did? Because I can't remember any show. I know like the tell of like Andy telling Red where he's going, like in Mexico.
Oh well.
Telling him where to go to the tree.
The show thing would be the record scene because Andy doesn't say anything.
Showing what? Just putting on a record?
Yeah, when he's playing music for the whole prison.
Well, it's showing his mindset at the time and how he feels his position is with the warden and how he wants to
Andy says
lighten the
nothing.
mood of everyone, all
And-
of his friends, and he doesn't say any of that.
That's difficult because then it's overlaid with Red's thoughts on it. So it's still a tell.
Andy's
of the
different
character.
than Red.
It is.
Only Andy knows what
It's,
his actions
it's
were.
Red's
I know.
interpretation of Andy's actions. If
Yes.
anything. Yeah.
That's why it's difficult, because that's kind of like a half point thing. Like, isn't everyone listening and there's quiet and then it goes on to the next scene? It's Red narrating over it, talking about what he thinks Andy's doing, but Andy's own intentions being shown.
I think at the end of it, you can't. It's much more difficult to avoid telling than it is to avoid showing.
Oh, it's far easier to do tell.
Yeah, it's far easier to tell.
All right, okay.
And
Hold on. I'm gonna step in here as a writer. No, it's not.
Okay.
Not inherently. You have to. You have to be a good dialogue writer in order to get tell to work. That's why.
To
To
work.
make it work well.
I'm not saying to work. I'm just saying to just do it. To just do it, it's very, very easy. To make it work well is hard.
Like,
yes.
this happened. That's going to happen. That's easily written in, versus showing if, like, I can't get the prop, we don't have the budget, we can't do this how we envision, just write it in. It's harder, as you said, writer, to do it correctively and well for it to work well in whatever it's in.
And I would like to also state that I don't think tell is objectively bad, and I don't think it's, and show is objectively better. I think both have their merits and both are useful, and you can have both exist in the same thing, but it's all about how you do it.
I don't think I ever touched on it in past of Stranger Things or in the recap, but there is an instance in Stranger Things Season 1 that I think they did a beautiful version of tell and not show. And that is when Hopper is on... First off, apologies to anyone who's waiting for us to get back to Apple Dumpling Gang.
This
Sorry.
is a tangent.
We never will.
It's a
Okay.
tangent, but go on. Yeah. It's part of the podcast.
When Hopper's on the phone calling his ex-wife just to hear her voice because of things that are happening to his wife, and you hear the baby on the phone, that she's moved on. She's not still, like, stuck on Sarah. She's already moved on to a new life.
Oh.
That is a wonderful version of tell to me.
Up until the advent of the last episode, the entire history of Hop and his dead daughter is told through tell.
Not fully. The hairband on him that he carries around is a show, which is the first instance of show about his daughter, before the talk with Mr. Clark in the woods.
Yeah, but they say,
okay.
His daughter died. Yeah, and
Yeah.
It's more tell than
It's 100% more tell than show with that. That's the reason I say it's entirely done in tell is because not everyone is going to notice the band he wears. Because we're nerds, we might notice that.
I know that's totally fine. That's how you see it. I disagree.
So have we come to a consensus at this point of?
No, this is not a consensus. This is an impasse. But
Okay.
So
to an impasse.
Back to Apple Dumpling Gang where this starts. The issue I'm guessing you're taking was the fact that Donovan is commenting is like, I think these two people just tried to rob me. Like he's pointing over his shoulder at her to start a conversation.
That's fine, because he's just bringing up, hey, I think, and she goes, oh, Theodore Amos. But her revealing this whole story of Theodore Amos shooting still on the leg, and that's how his leg occurred. They're harmless. Like, just all this backstory on the characters that they don't bring up. I think it would have been way better if Theodore and Amos brought it up in their own conversation. Like, it's like, hey, put your gun down.
That'd still be tell, though. It's still setting up the show, which is, when you see Stillwell with the wounded leg.
And it's actually more organic this way because he wouldn't talk to Amos and Theodore. He would talk to Dusty.
In this instance, then, with these examples, I will say this is a poor usage of tell.
We're asking you to explain why.
Why?
Where did we go?
Can you imagine if
How did
there was a
we get
scene?
here?
It would have been a better scene if Amos had his gun and put it in incorrectly, like it's aiming at Theodore's leg, and he like quickly panics and he's like, "Not again! Don't do that again!" Like that's the tell. Like don't shoot someone else's leg. I think that would have worked way better.
Okay,
Because then Stillwell gets introduced later.
But then you're adding PTSD to the two characters.
No, just memory. Not PTSD.
You're having them panic over accidentally aiming a gun at someone's leg. That's PTSD.
Well, Theodore's panicking in every dumb thing Amos is doing.
Yes.
Because of everything Amos has done.
Yes.
I agree with I'll agree that there is probably a better way that would involve specifically those two telling their story. But I don't. But at the end of the day, we don't have that, and I think to critique them on something they could have done versus something they did do is a bit different. So yes, they could have done it even better. Hindsight 2020. But as of this situation, this isn't objectively bad. This is still works and it makes sense, and it's not really like overly showy. It's not overly telly, or it still works.
No, that's why I initially went with neutral.
But now you're against it.
This one scene, no, I'm fine with the tell because they previously just showed a show of Dusty looking at the bed.
So if they didn't show her looking at the bed, you'd say it's a problem.
I'd say, yeah, it's more of a tell because this movie does a lot of tell. Then that's less show.
Yeah. The issue, the larger issue I took.
This arbitrary ratio makes no sense to me. How do you come up with the ratio?
There's no ratio for objective preference. It's a subjective.
You're making one right now.
No, it's subjective. I prefer show. Subjectively, I think show works very well and plays off better in films.
But
except for examples of like My Dinner with Andre, where very highly
I
dialogue.
would love to see show in My Dinner. Right, that would make.
Yeah, as I said, I can't remember a single show in there.
It's because it's not. They're literally eating dinner together.
Yeah. So the reason that where we took some issue with this, Springs, is because in the previous recap, you said you objectively have a ratio. You found an overuse of camera angles as an oversaturation as objectively bad. You've already stated that you think that an oversaturation.
Okay, that's the connection you're making.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Whether or not something is over or underused is a ratio.
Yes. So let me finish out my list here at least. And then you just said that the overuse of the hero's journey cycle in of itself is objectively bad. Even though it's in every Marvel movie, the origin story, more or less.
Well, that doesn't excuse it, but yes.
That doesn't excuse it. But I'm saying that that in of itself, that's now an objective flaw in one of your favorite movies, Captain America 1, right? That's also a flaw now in Ready Player One, because you view that inherently as a flaw. That's why I don't think the ratio as an idea makes something objectively bad. That's why we're kind of, we're having this back and forth, because the ratio is difficult for me to understand because I don't have anything solid for it to work on. Because as you say, it changes, so that comes across to me as how it feels with whatever you're watching, which is subjective.
Okay. Let's use My Dinner with Andre, for example. I would never attack it or lower it for never showing a show, since it never shows a show. It's all collectively tell, and tell works better in some parts, worse in others. When shown a show, in a version of tell, like back and forth, especially with this scene right here in Apple Dumpling Gang, because they're immediately back to back, it shows that they...
Hold on. I'm actually going to give you an example to probably use, which would be 12 Angry Men, which is mostly tell, but there is show in there.
Yes. I think the show works not unbelievably, incredibly well in 12 Angry Men. The whole talk of the knife, just to be shown the knife on the table. There's no like, I have the knife and he takes it out. He immediately just shows it, just to shut them up, but just to like change their minds. The whole showing of how walking around the room and the timing of everything. There's wonderful, good uses of show that don't go into tell. And I think it balances in 12 Angry Men of there's good amount of show and good amount of tell. It's evened. In this, there's very, very little show, but the film still shows presence of the show, still showing that it is a thing that they do and can do and have done, versus tell, where they also are doing. And because of that, I think it really overweights the show, because there is so much tell in this film that the show stands out as a good part, and I like more than the tell, and the tell gets to the point where it's a lot. It's not the choice of what they could have done. What they, like you say, like a lot of the times we say, well, we're writing the script for them. We have to do what they have in the film. What they have in the film is a use of show. What they have in the film is a use of tell. If it was all show, no tell, then you'd only weigh out the shows. If it's all tell, like My Dinner with Andre, no show, you only weigh out the tells.
Okay.
But it's inherently it's going to be a mix of both, isn't it? I mean, you would want it to be a balance between.
That's why I'm
both.
saying 12 Angry Men, great example. I think that's a great balance.
But you prefer show.
I do.
Which would be a subjective thing.
Yes.
Again, it's just going to come back to the ratio thing that I don't understand. Because...
And talk about it on the recap.
Yeah, I think we're going to push this to the recap again. Because while I have enjoyed this tangent, we do need to get through Apple Dumpling Gang.
Where were we? Oh, yeah, the...
I can remind you, the brass bed.
Yeah.
This is where Donovan asks Dusty if she wants a drink, and he made a mistake.
Made a pass at a man, and it was actually a woman.
I think the implication is that, like, he wants to treat her, like, as a friend, but she doesn't want to be treated that way.
She wants romance.
Yeah, she wants romance, and I think it's because they got off on the wrong foot, which I think helps a lot in this scene.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the scene, and yeah, I agree with that.
We also just got off a heavy
just
topic,
like
so transition, you know.
He just sees her as one of the guys. He doesn't see her romantically at this point, so he didn't really put much thought into it being a romantic gesture or anything.
And she would like to be seen in romantic light.
Yes,
at least by someone.
It's by a man.
She really does want somebody. So she accepts marriage very quickly in this. They give a decent enough reason for me, but nonetheless, he goes for it.
Well, it's never. At least they never imply that they love each other.
Yeah,
they just have feelings for one another. I think
there's feelings, but no love.
Yeah, if they said "I love you," I think Crimson and I would be fighting over romance again.
Oh, you'd be okay with it in this scenario if they said it?
I don't know. Depends on the dialogue delivery for it.
Well, I mean, with the build-up we have up to this point, do you think there'd be enough for them to throw that around?
We've had the stew delivery.
I don't think there's enough between them. No.
Okay.
Good, because that's where I was. I think it would be really weird if one of them said "I love you."
Yeah. It's the fact that they decided to try out this life together works for me. Even though they're married already, that's fine. I don't have much issue with that. We also don't know
Wasn't the scene also the second night of them knowing each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. I'm more referring to the very, very end when they're together.
Yeah.
So.
It'd certainly be weird right now looking at the bed. Hey, I love you. You want to drink?
I thought that's what we were talking about. Sorry.
No,
we're talking about the relationship and
overall
of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Whether there was enough by the end, if one of them said "I love you," if that would be good enough. Or justifiable enough from what we see. Writers agreeing for the most part as it is, it probably wouldn't work, correct?
Yeah. If they had quote unquote done a time skip at the end that we were given an actual date, then there'd be more debatable terms, I guess, on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree, Crimson. They do a fairly good job of giving us an explanation as to why she wants to get into romance, essentially.
Does anyone have anything else on this act?
I gotta look at my notes because I was going off script there for a bit.
No, that's what I'm seeing.
Do they go to the mine in this act? Like their own
that's
mine?
the next one.
Okay. Then this is the one where they... Actually, I'm just going to pull it up in our chat again.
Next act starts with Donovan coming out of the saloon, like, wasted.
Oh.
Or hungover, I guess.
Yeah, okay. This is actually pretty close to the end of the act, isn't it, then?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I have much. I think they did a lot of character building around this, outside of the gags with the kids going through the town and wrecking everything. One thing I do liked about that scene overall is they actually introduce us to everything they are about to ruin, like one at a time, naturally.
True.
Which is cool.
Good, yeah.
The mirror, the instrument,
The
guy's spirit.
Yeah, they the laundry mat area. They set everything up that they're going to ruin, which I think is good. Yeah, that's it for me. This act.
Okie doke. I guess we'll go to Act 3 out of our 4 of going from here up to Stillwell and his crew looking over Quake City.
20 men with elephant rifles.
Yeah.
I think this is it's referenced in overall 3 times in the film. I think this is the first instance of implying that Theodore and Amos sleep together.
Yeah,
sharing a blanket. Yeah,
They got a small little tent.
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I just, I think.
No, I don't.
I think it's just. I think it's funny.
Insight into the
That's
relationship.
from
It's an insight into their
Seinfeld
relationship.
writer.
Yeah.
Even though he's the dumb one, I don't know how he could interpret that. What he's seen as 20 men with rifles. Even if he just saw the sticks poking out of the bush, I don't know how he would have got 20 people.
The only way it's funny. I think the only way that it makes sense is that he just is a little bit drunk at the time because Theodore's kept him from drinking in the bar, so he brought some drinks home. I'm absolutely right.
He's not good with numbers.
I'm also writing the script here, so be aware of that. So
I guess not being able to count.
yeah, not able to count
Because the line is 5, 6, maybe 20.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, I think the implication is he just saw like the kids through the bushes and their sticks up in the air. That's what he saw, and that he thought he confused those as rifles.
Oh, the shovels.
Yeah, the sticks of the shovels as rifles. Yeah.
Interesting.
How adorable is it that kids think they need shovels to go in a mine for gold?
I was gonna say like, pickaxes.
I think it's
I
funny
don't.
that
No.
Clovis takes one scoop of shovel and goes, "Found any gold yet?"
Well,
No.
I mean, if I've learned anything from Minecraft, it means if you beat something enough, it'll break down like a pickaxe would.
Yeah,
That's true.
And we've also learned that shovels and trowels are amazing killing weapons in the fields of World War One.
We have learned that.
Oh, if they're designed.
Quite
they're
on
designed correctly. Yeah.
It's not quite Western Warfare. Yeah.
It's amazing that the earthquake was so well timed.
Yep.
It's amazing that they lived and found a way out,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other things. But
Well, the fact that there was an earthquake, fine, the place gets a lot. The fact that that was the earthquake that destroyed the mine, now that's even more coincidental than the earthquake. Because presumably that mine has taken a lot of earthquakes, but this was the one that did it in, was the one that they were present for.
yeah, they said they're built on a fault line, right? And there was 2 earthquakes that shut
Yeah,
the mines down.
I think the Arizona fault line or something.
Yeah, so
Something like that.
that's pretty lucky. I don't know what the ground of the mine is made of for them to actually shovel it,
Dirt.
because it would just be rocks.
Gravel. I have no idea.
Shit. Yeah, I don't no idea. But
I
it's
think
lucky
it's-
that they get giant gold nugget.
The mine suffers, an earthquake, as we see. The town is totally fine though.
Yeah,
Well, the town's used to it.
No one
Mine
was
not so
bothered.
much.
Everyone just kind of just leaned on something, I guess.
But they
I
get a
do-
giant gold nugget.
I do like that, even though the earthquake's pretty darn convenient, that they didn't just walk into a mine and find gold. Because
that would've
there's so
been
many
a
people
problem.
that would have just found that. So it was nice that they had a good excuse to why they found gold. Just a convenient one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At least it implies that the earthquake helped like push stone out of the way for it to reveal the gold.
It is a big ass
Which-
piece of gold, though.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. The prop. I do like how there is crystal on it, because that is what happens. Gold grows on quartz.
Yep.
So that I liked the detail that they did with that.
Have a lot more respect
But
on
overall, in its
deep
construction,
rock
it didn't really look real.
It's. You think that was like all the gold that was left in that mine was that big ass nugget? Because the dad kept saying, they don't really seem interested in ever going back for any more.
I'm pretty sure. See, yeah, I have a little bit of an issue with
He
that.
doesn't even care about the gold either.
I have a little bit of an issue with that because I'm pretty sure this was a gold rush town. The fact that they found gold would have prompted lots of people to go search the
Reopen the mine.
Yeah, at least temporarily to look around for more.
I agree.
But yeah, because they kept saying their pa kept saying there was more gold. There was gold in there. I wonder if that was it. That was all that was left. Was that bit of gold that he knew about, and then he never went back for.
And we find out how much this giant nugget is valued at.
Is it 36 now? Oh, 80.
No, $87,425. I don't remember how much they said it was. It was like 300 something, which seemed low, but I don't really know the conversion on that.
That is a lot of apple dumplings.
Yeah.
What's a lifetime supply?
What confused me is they didn't melt it down, so there is rock and crystal and a bunch of other minerals.
Well, they're not prepared for that size, man.
Yeah, so it's not a proper appraisal of price, which is something they wouldn't do.
Best guess.
They would have probably shipped it off, get it melted down wherever it was going to go, and then give them the actual price of it.
Best faith interpretation, it was just an estimation.
Well, the guy said it could change, I guess, the value of gold.
Yeah.
Who's that? Which with inflation, I checked it. Any guesses on how much 87,000 is today?
$1 million.
No, a lot.
I'm gonna guess 400 mil.
All right, nearly $500 million. All right, you too? Other two?
5 million.
5 mil.
I think you brought up earlier that like something like 300 would have been 9,000. So I'll go 2.5 mil.
Well, Sprinks won that. That was pretty close. $2,667,415.
Nice. They're millionaires.
Take that, Amos.
Amos and Andy.
I know math.
They could have bought the town with that money.
Oh yeah,
Probably. It's just a shanty town overall.
Now I know it's of the time of 1975 when it was filmed, or 1974, I guess, for production time film and everything. It was all fine in the mine until they used that darn spotlight to light everything up.
Lighting wise, you mean?
Lighting wise, yeah.
Well, the
A lot of
implication
it
is
was
the
after the
gold,
oil
obviously.
lamp.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Like, that's how they entered. There were some scenes of it, but then there was just this huge spotlight part where it just lit up Clovis.
Well, it was a hole in the ceiling.
It was not angled as a hole in the ceiling, Crimson. It was coming from, like, the camera's point of view.
Was. No, I'm pointing like I know. Well, mine was also well lit in of itself already.
For just being
which
an
is
oil
pretty
lamp.
typical with these type of things.
Well, yeah, because
you want to
there's a hole in
see
the
what's
ceiling.
going on. That's right.
That is right.
It did look good. I guess all the smoke and the props of the wood falling and
Yeah, this is probably one of
okay.
the most expensive scenes.
that Last Crusade Earth opening up.
Yeah, it's a good thing those kids didn't get swallowed up or something.
Or get their heads bashed in by rocks.
I'm more on the lucky they're alive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's as Donovan said, luck's on his side. So they got luck.
His side. Yep. His side, not...
Well, I think he's still looking over the kids right now.
I guess.
Well, his luck would they would have died and you wouldn't have to care about them anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, I suppose that could be the other way, yeah.
It was unlucky that they survived.
But also, really good on Donovan. He doesn't immediately try to fucking do anything with the gold. He just wants to protect the kid's future.
I mean,
Yeah, he's
he
like,
buys-
it's their money. I don't care about it.
Yeah,
Interesting
good
for
on
a
him, though.
director.
Yeah, he doesn't turn into Wintle. Come back just for the funds. Now it's said that Wintle is their uncle, right?
Second uncle.
She said second uncle or something, which
Yeah.
means she doesn't really know what his relation to them is.
He's related, but distantly at best.
She just knows he's next in line, but doesn't actually know his actual position with them.
Which is probably pretty
Considering
accurate.
how all the disasters seem to follow these children, do you think the children are responsible for the death of their previous caretakers?
Well, okay, we have 3 kids. Granted, it's 2 boys and 1 girl, but I think this might be a series of unfortunate events.
It kind of feels like that, except they're the ones bringing the misfortune.
Yeah. Well,
No,
even
Clovis
then,
could
they
have kicked his parents to death. Who knows?
yeah, we never get a. They died.
Yeah, we don't know their terms of death.
It was probably pneumonia or something.
Probably something.
No, Bobby does
Pneumonia.
comment pneumonia.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
if Celia gets pneumonia, I'll take care of her.
I'll take care of her and die, because that's how most people got pneumonia, was by taking care of someone with pneumonia.
Oh, I took that the much darker way, that he was going to take her out like an old dog and, just...
Oh my god.
Okay, writer.
I don't know.
Yeah, for that,
I didn't take that from Bobby.
Like The Walking Dead, for anyone who has seen it. Season 4.
No, to be clear, I didn't think that when watching it. I just thought of it now.
Okay, that makes it a little bit better.
Look, I know I'm a monster. I kill my
Just look at
characters
the
all time,
flowers.
but-
Look at the flowers, George.
Let's look at the rabbits.
Look at the
Flowers.
rabbit flowers, George.
Rabbits.
Look at the carrot flowers, George. There you go.
This will go pretty much next to what I think was the funniest joke in this this time watching the film.
Bold claim.
Yeah. This time watching the film, this was the joke that made me laugh out loud. Was
You
after
spilled milk on your
Theodore sees the nugget, he goes to Amos and says it's a piece of cake, and he comes back with, "You mean it ain't gold?"
That's another good one.
I missed that. I was too distracted with him trying to light a cigarette on Theodore's ass.
No, it was right after, yeah.
A little distracted with that.
So
I do like
the
the
rear
sheriff.
end's on fire.
Yeah.
The
I like the
rear
sheriff.
end's on
I like
fire.
the sheriff is just nonchalant with them. It's kind of funny.
The
Also,
sheriff's a stand-up guy.
I'll make it brief. We don't have to touch on it for another half hour. Another use of show that this is how Theodore got the hole in his bandana.
I mentioned that.
That is true. Yeah.
I also
You
don't
know
think that's
what?
that's
This brings up.
Yeah. They do play the gag though again of, and I don't know. This one feels forced. This one doesn't seem as natural to me. Of before where Theodore was taking the drink out of Amos. This time he's just lowering his hand from lighting the cigarette. I don't know why he kept lowering his hand, like just to make sure he's paying attention.
I don't have the scene in front of me.
I can't picture what you're talking
I see what you mean. Yeah. When he's trying to light the cigarette, but Theodore is not letting him.
Yeah, and he keeps lowering his hand. Like, is that same gag played off again?
I wonder. Actually, I have a bit of a theory now. I wonder if this is Theodore just trying to keep Amos sober, because him getting drunk, intoxicated, high off a cigarette makes him worse, like even more dumb. So that's why he prevents him from drinking. It's why he prevents him from smoking.
I mean, I think he's just like, he can just get away with it. That's how I read it every time.
Yeah,
Amos is stupid
I'm
enough
definitely
where he can-
reading into it 100%.
Yeah.
To say that, but could be interpreted.
Could.
That way.
That would be a more riveting story if that was true. But I'm going to go with it. It's just for
We already
gags.
established they sleep together, Sinister. We don't need to.
Hey, this is like what, like 30, almost 40 years before Brokeback Mountain. So
Okay. Oh, that came out. I don't think that's the intention they're playing with.
No, I don't
No,
think so.
I don't think so either.
No, obviously not. But hey, it's Disney, and if they want to say that that's how they wanted it to be going,
If it was
Might
made
as-
today, they would go that route.
but there was nothing wrong with it back then, and there's nothing wrong now. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
They used to code everything back then, so it's whatever.
Oh yeah, code era. Fucking BS.
Let's see what else I got.
Donovan
Oh.
took them to a fancy restaurant and got them clothes.
Yeah, I got them
Yeah,
clothes.
well,
Now
got
that
one
they
of them.
actually have disposable income, I guess. I don't know the
How-
gold.
how- they got a loan or something from the bank, I guess, because they didn't get the money for that.
Yeah.
I think they got temporary money because of it. Like, banks occasionally do that. Obviously, it's very hard to do that nowadays because modern era sucks. But
Yeah, if you want a loan, bank will give you no 50 times before they say yes. So, it's an interesting scene. I don't know how all those people got in there into a fancy restaurant at the end.
I think
I'm
same.
surprised there was even a fancy
the chef
restaurant in this town.
I guess you're right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
How popular would that place be in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, if we've
Well,
seen
not
like
very. No one's in there.
yeah, if we've seen
Precisely.
the normal townsfolk, there's
it might
not
have
that
worked.
many
It might have
people
worked
of,
during the gold rush. This place would have closed down by now, though.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch
that
of
also
there's a bunch
may
of
not
for
be a
sale and for rent
restaurant.
sounds.
I think that's the hotel.
That's the motel.
Yeah, because when they get off the carriage and Dusty says, if you're hungry, you can go down to the motel. They got grub, or you can go to the Hard Times Cafe.
The Hard Times Cafe is such a good name.
So I think it could be the hotel.
It's almost as good as Wimpy's Burgers.
No.
Uh,
No
so,
Wimpies.
of all the mothers that come in to try to take Celia, who's your favorite?
The
What a
the
question.
third one that they find that is like, I hate kids. She's my favorite.
Yeah,
At
that's
least she's honest.
she
know,
she wanted
at
a
the
character
beginning.
arc, obviously off
Yeah.
screen, or she's just very greedy. Doesn't matter. It's still hilarious.
The wife to the guy that was kicked. The one who didn't say a word the entire
Oh,
movie.
good. I can't believe how violent they got. They ripped that girl's dress.
That's
Well, I
And,
don't think
and
so.
the sheriff didn't do nothing about it.
No, sheriff did something eventually. I mean, he got up.
Oh, yeah, he got up. And, yeah, you're right. He did stand up and kind of motion them out of there. You're right.
Herded the
No,
cattle.
he took Celia. He took Celia out of their arms and gave it to Donovan. I don't understand why Donovan didn't immediately get up if he's looking over the kids.
Because he's not sure if he likes them or not.
This was
Guess that
before
could
they
be it.
manipulated him.
He's
I
not
guess
yet
that
in their
plays into
pocket.
that then why he took a moment.
Well, she has enough money where she can buy another dress for herself, okay? So that dress didn't really matter. What it does matter is that it's really fixed in a scene later, and it's, like, brand new.
It's a new dress.
Is it?
Just bought another. I mean, it could be.
Well, he said he'd fix it, right? So
Yeah.
It's got sewed up.
Well, fix it could mean I bought you a new one.
Could be. Do you think they'd have two of those dresses in this little town? Probably
No.
not.
No, it would probably be
I'm
catalog.
glad you answered your own rhetorical question there.
Yeah.
Really sly. Probably not.
I did the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen when they brought up the catalog. Because, Red Dead
I know
Redemption
that from a
2 player.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they got stuff back in the day. You order from the catalog and they bring it to town.
That's true.
Or you get mailed it.
The catalog was the Amazon before Amazon.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it.
I like that the sheriff is quite a wingman for Donovan.
Is he?
I'm
well-
going to be honest with this. When I first saw this scene, until the end, I thought the sheriff was going to eventually suggest that he and Dusty get together. That's what I thought I was playing off as.
What?
Yeah. No. So when he's making the pitch to Donovan, he's alluding that, he just needs to find, Dusty needs to find a reputable man. someone with integrity, someone with, he starts listing these stuff, and I'm like, oh, is he about like making a claim that he should be the one taking the child?
I misheard you. I thought you were saying that him and Donovan should get married.
No, him and Dusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could kind of. Yeah.
I thought that was my first interpretation of the scene until the end of it, where he says he'll put in a good word for, him and Dusty or whatever. I read the scene as the sheriff was alluding to the fact that he was also wanted to take the kids, but no, he doesn't. He's just a good person. Just it was a really, really awkward dialogue scene because it gave me the completely wrong interpretation.
I didn't get that interpretation.
You weren't reading between the lines enough.
Reading between
the lines. Yeah, no, he's this whole town's a bunch of manipulators.
Yep, and everyone's manipulating Donovan. He's getting sick of it. The looks that Donovan gives him in this scene are hilarious.
What? I gotta marry that old bag?
I don't know if that's our process.
No, but it could be.
I think it's just a question of like, I never thought about that.
I never thought about marrying a woman dressed like that.
I thought about marrying a woman that I've known for 2 days.
I mean, yeah, that's also the point.
Who I've known for 2 days, and her name keeps changing. First it's Magnolia, now it's Dusty. Who is this person?
Mrs. Clydesdale?
Mrs. Clydesdale.
Also in the subtitles, Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Is she the original progenitor? No. I'm trying to think. The lady who changes names all the time in The Chief Detective.
Oh. We just called her the Chameleon, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Almost approached that level. For Donovan, at least.
Are the flowers that Celia gives Donovan in the scene, like trying to swindle him, are those the same flowers that then given to Dusty later on?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, those are the same ones.
Okay.
He did not press them into a book. Like they're.
Oh, he didn't want them to last forever.
Remember when that was
Remember us when you gave us away.
Yeah, I gave us away. You gave us up to an Irish drunk.
Little manipulators.
3 whittle kids.
Whittle.
They like to whittle a lot, don't they?
No.
They're whittling away at his hard exterior, finding a good man underneath.
Wow, that was deep.
I do kind of like that they in that conversation before Celia gives him the flowers for Dusty, that they're going through all the people in town they don't want to end up with. Like they just kind of list them off.
They were all the ones they knew he was considering, and they were automatically making them sound like bad candidates.
Do you think she'll hit us with a stick? No, she won't hit you with a stick. She hits Mr. John King with a stick.
Little dark.
And Mr. Whatever uses words I've never heard before.
Well, no, they're not candidates. Yeah, they're talking about. Yeah, okay. I'm done. Just leave me alone.
Okie doke.
Okay, we'll leave you alone forever now.
So, who wants to touch on the firehouse robbery?
I will bring up a continuity error.
Oh!
Dun, 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 dun.
Whoa!
Oh!
The dog.
Yeah.
A lot of the wide shots, it's lying on its side, but when we look at it close, it's upright.
On its little tummy.
Just rolling around.
No.
Yeah.
Crimson knows when a dog's just rolling
There's
around.
my continuity catch of the day.
At least it's a
Really
real
not
dog. I approve, but it's still gotta acknowledge a continuity error.
What changed your mind? If the dog was maybe a different breed?
No, a stuffed dog. Fake dog. No real dog.
If it was a stuffed dog.
Fireman sleeps with a fake dog.
I guess then it couldn't move around.
They definitely, obviously, the editing team definitely muffled the audio because they would not be this quiet.
Yes.
There's no way they would be this quiet with all
I
the
would
shit
love
they were doing.
Was that fucking video somebody edited of Elvis with like a backing track or whatever, and with shoe squeaking? I love that video.
Oh, that's a good video.
Yeah, it's so good. He's awesome.
What
I would
about?
love that with the
Yeah, sorry.
with this where they just put in real audio, and so it's like.
What I think is weird is they've done it 3 times now. That Donovan is the only person who like walks around the town at night.
And Dusty, and the kids.
Anyone relevant is the only people who walk around at night.
There
Well,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah, there we go.
You have to pay as many people.
Yeah, it is a small town. Most people would be asleep in the middle of the night.
Yeah, all
Um,
drunk off their asses.
yeah, the bigger the city, the more you're right. The more likely people are just going to be bustling around. But I think. Oh yeah, there was a funny thing where they accidentally hit the bell, and Theodore covers the bell with his hat. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just thought it was funny.
Well, it's like was it Sinister? Help me out here. Not a snare drum. What's the things on a drum set?
Symbol.
Cymbal. Like when a cymbal goes off, don't you just like hold it?
Yeah.
I think that's what Theodore's doing here.
Yeah, anything that
you
emits
muffled-
a sound by vibrating, just preventing the vibration will muffle the sound.
Well, yeah, but he's dumb, so he uses his hat.
He's not holding it down though, is my point. It's just he's just covering it with his hat. I thought it was funny.
He's muffling it.
I guess.
The suppressor hat.
Suppressor hat. A suppressor hat. There was a lot of good gags in this, but it definitely went on to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna third that.
plus, that's a freaking tall building.
Yeah, it is in my notes as well. The gags are funny, but it does drag on a little too long.
The only gag I didn't really care for was when they ran on the fucking column like 3 times, or
Oh,
it. That
That might
was
have been too stupid.
that was too stupid. That was way too stupid.
I like how the dog doesn't bark or do anything because it doesn't see them as a threat.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's just Theodore
com-
Ramis.
They're comically inept.
I don't know how the fire department's gonna miss that ladder though. I mean, people are just gonna die.
But
because
man,
they-
they have some fucking charisma because they could just be leaning on those ladders going through that building. Donovan doesn't care.
they fail
like,
every role in their life except for when Donovan's walking by. Their charisma check
Yeah.
is just enough to get by.
Yeah. Oh,
No one heard the window break either.
I
No.
don't
Well,
know
it's
I don't know what that building is next
it's
door.
for sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
abandoned.
then that's good. That's a
Yeah.
not an
They
Or
got
in the
error.
vicinity.
Not an error, just a fancy accident.
Also, since we touched on Red Dead, being distracted by putting on hats, totally fine.
What?
Of
The
Amos
firefighter hat.
putting on
Oh,
a firefighter
okay.
hat,
Yeah.
being
That
distracted
looked
by
like it was made out of plastic.
You know,
it. Yeah,
real-
I've seen, I think, every single one of us do that before.
in the middle of a fight too.
Yeah, middle of fight, middle of mission, just putting on a new hat.
Just trying it.
Yeah, you gotta see a new hat, man.
Look,
Yeah, even on crazy difficulty, whatever that was called.
Hat maketh
Worthless.
the man.
listen, you can't listen. We all know you do double damage if your drip is good, right?
Should drip. I like that. Drip. I did like. I don't understand. So it wasn't tall enough. It was tall enough to go through the building, fully extended, but it wasn't tall enough to reach the roof. They had to stretch it across the rooftop.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm impressed that they managed to do that at all, with the level of fuckery that we've seen them up to.
Well,
'Cause-
the building's just taller than the height.
Didn't look like it.
Well, the height is that didn't make sense. The
Unless
height
it,
is
yeah,
more than the width.
yeah.
Huh? Height is
The
more
distance
than the
between
width?
the two buildings
You
is
said the
more
difference
than the
between the
height.
two buildings is less than the height of the whole firefighter building to get up on. Also,
Which
it's not the
doesn't-
firefighter building; it's the bank building.
Yeah, but also, why would you have a ladder that can't reach all the way to the top of your
Bank.
highest build? Yeah, why? Well, not your bank specifically, but like you would obviously have to have a ladder that could reach the top of any building. Otherwise, it would not work. Because you'd have to aim the fire.
And at the bare minimum, it would have to reach the window of
Yeah.
whatever floor it can reach.
I think I'm a little more just curious how they get the ladder up on top of the building first to cross the buildings.
Well, see, that building had a ladder that they climbed with the ladder.
That would be that's a good gag.
Especially since one, I don't know how they got it across. One, it obviously had to be tied down because, let's be honest, they would not remember to do that.
That would be great. You know what, Crimson? That's a good gag. You just came up with a good gag idea that they missed.
It's a good sketch that they missed out on, unfortunately.
All of that time spent getting that ladder, and then Amos just is like, all right, let's get up that building. Where'd you get that? Whoa. Ladder. Was that a ladder? Why did we have to get that one? Missed opportunity.
Neither of them died on the fall, so good on them for that.
Would that have been
injuries?
Would that have been like a killing fall? I mean, obviously
depending on how you land.
Yeah, depending on how you. Okay, but not like distance wise.
They both landed on their butt. I think they're fine.
So they just broke their ass.
Yeah, they just broke.
Well, it was about the halfway mark of the building is where they fell.
It was about a halfway from a skid mark.
Because the runs on the ladder would have slowed down Theodore just a bit to the last one. Then he would have plummeted. And then Theodore was hanging on to the end of it. Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely cheap. But hanging on to the middle of it and then fell. But I think it was Amos, when the ladder swooped to hit the building, gave out quite a goofy scream.
Yeah,
whoa! It was
it
was like the
it was a goofy laugh.
I've heard that scream before. Yeah.
You think in real life there was ever instances where like the firefighters brought a ladder up to a burning building and then the ladder caught on fire because it's made out of wood?
I'm sure that happened at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Yeah, like that, because that had to happen enough times. So they're like, instead of something isn't combustible. Obviously, they didn't have the industrial strength to do that at that point. Still,
you didn't have blacksmiths wailing around at fireman ladders.
You could actually. I mean, it would take.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, it would take.
They had the ability to make things out of metal.
Well, true, but they were using it all for the
Did
railroad.
Oh, the railroad.
The railroad, their guns, the carriages.
Usually, your most expensive ladders were siege ladders, and those were usually a mix of metal and wood, because obviously it needs to survive being hit with an axe a few times. The upper end of it before, if you're sieging or something. I think that's up to, obviously, the modern ladder. That those might have been the most durable.
I'll have to take a rain check on that.
Yeah, I don't think we have any ladder experts to call in.
Yeah, that's the best I can do.
We're gonna have to make a freaking a sheet of names of all these experts that we need.
An experts list.
Yeah,
we really do.
We need a ladder expert. We need
our dust expert.
Yeah,
we need to bring in Neil deGrasse Tyson for whenever we do Interstellar.
We can just bring up his Twitter because he fucking live tweeted that movie, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he live tweeted that movie. What an asshole! Bringing your phone and live tweeting in the theater, but
I think it's
more power to you. Hopefully, I would hope so.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so they end up using a noose to get on top of the building.
Yeah, it's not tied as a noose.
It turns into a noose, but
it does turn into a noose. But
how'd they get the rope up there?
Same reason they got the ladder up there.
Magic.
I mean, the ladder, they could just go on the other roof and plop it down across.
They could just throw they could tie the ball.
Yeah, but if they got over to that side of the roof without the ladder to prop it down, how would they have gotten over there to begin with? They would just
And they could have just been on the roof
but see, that would also be a good gag where they managed to get over on the other top of the building just to get the rope on there, and they go back down. Why did we?
That's too cartoony.
That's a real Looney Tune moment.
I love Looney Tunes.
I think it's fine that they tossed it over because it showed in the first scene of Amos throwing the rope straight up.
That he failed to do it.
Objective.
Yeah, he failed, but he failed to throw it straight.
I wrote down on my notes. I wrote down on my notes because I'm impressed that they managed to get the rope over the building. That's pretty much all I wrote on my notes. I just accepted that they did it.
Well, that was their only like nat 20 roll. Their charisma checks. That was about it. They used up all of it on that one. Real question is where did they get the mule?
They had a mule.
Yeah, they did. That's it. It's not a mule though. It's a horse.
And the kids don't see the rope, and they think he's just flying
because he got his arms folded.
Yeah.
And the rope above him is carefully hidden by the metal pipe.
It keeps changing the lighting to hide it. When it's close to him, you could see the rope, but when it's the wider shot, it's so dark and cast by shadow that you can't see it.
And I bet that just rubs you the wrong way, doesn't it?
You know what? It does.
You know what?
Well, they keep believing him. And I think if they, at a point, would have just been like, oh, there's a rope.
Well,
or look, there's a rope.
What are you doing on your tiptoes, mister? Well, maybe I just want to be on my tiptoes.
That's not funny.
We screwed that up.
That is funny.
It's amusing.
It's mildly amusing.
I'm not saying the fact that they hid the rope will deter it from being humorous. Pointing it out that they would see the rope.
In fact, it makes it even funnier that way. They work so hard and not hard at all. But wasn't it funny when he was yelling about the guy and how he was doing such a good job in that moment instead of not doing a good job earlier?
Yeah.
He was complaining about why better be in another county by now.
And then we have Donovan trying to convince Dusty to marry him now.
And he does it in the most
Donovan way.
Yeah.
Donovan way.
Your cooking is great.
Your cooking is great. You have a great set of cooking hands.
The kids like her. I think he says that as an excuse as well.
Are you just trying to drop the kids off on me? No.
Are you just trying to get a free roll in the hay?
Yeah, she thinks it's all very sexual.
I think that says more about her than it does about him.
Are you saying I might exercise my husbandly prerogatives?
Yes.
I think that's the best line, I think, for me in the movie.
It's a pretty good line. It made me laugh.
You're gonna
exercise my husbandly prerogatives.
You want us to make a T-shirt with that on it?
No.
What about a bumper sticker?
Pass.
No, he'll accept it. He'll never wear it.
I don't
Crimson,
think he'd accept.
You should. No, Crimson, you should wear it at a convention.
Yeah. What movie is this from, guys?
No,
that's
you
from
should
a
wear
movie.
that.
I thought you were just a pig.
You should wear that to Disneyland. Pretend to
because grief.
Yeah.
Perfect shirt for Disneyland.
Yeah. See how people get it.
It's from a Disney movie. Prove it. Okay, let me bring out my portable DVD player and my copy of Apple Dumpling Gang.
Just guys, you're paying for the streaming service. Just have it on your tablet. Come on.
There's no Wi-Fi there, and if it does, it sucks.
No, you gotta pay for that.
That's why you
gotta pay for the Wi-Fi.
That's why you preload it. That's why you preload it. So you just pull up your fucking tablet and you just hit play, and then pause once you're done, and you just rewind those 10 seconds.
They'd be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then they walk away. that would be the full tilt of that conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting scene. I wasn't reading the whole sexual angle for most of it. I thought she was trying to get him to be romantic. It's like with the whole husband duties or what, it's like I didn't read it that way, but it's funny.
Oh, it plays off way harder later when
which
she finds out about the bed.
The brass bed. Is that, you know what that means?
She just jumps into conclusions.
Oh yeah.
She's not jumping. She's like sprinting to conclusions. She's like
throwing
pole
cue
vaulting.
balls at him.
Well,
Yep,
she
that's
destroyed a bar for it.
That's the next act.
I wonder if he had to pay for it, or if they were like, nah, that's Dusty. Like that old sitcom. That's Dusty.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Anything else in this act? I don't.
I think it's
they
pretty
get-
predictable that we
yeah.
knew Theodore and Amos would fail.
Yeah.
Get the nugget.
I was just interested in how they'd fail,
I,
and I don't know how that happened.
I
We
have
also
no
don't
idea
know
it
how
happened
Amos
either.
got to the roof.
Well,
presumably,
Throw the rope down.
Yeah,
and
you
go
can throw
Yeah.
the
down.
rope down, and you can hold it. While your
and
buddy
somehow or
climbs.
another they got all twisted together, and they.
It would be very dark, but it'd be very funny if they opened up and they just hung themselves on accident.
Jesus.
They were just hanging there all blue.
I hate how much that made me laugh.
Oh, we have a dark sense of humor on this podcast.
If this wasn't a Disney movie,
Or if it was
Right.
like a like during the Disney's dark period, you know, like Pinocchio or something, they could get away with it.
well, they do hang people in movies. It happens
Yeah.
to Clayton and Tarzan.
Happens to a bunch of people in Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's off screen.
What a great
No,
scene.
they-
that is,
they
not
hang
Tarzan.
Tim.
That is a great scene.
They hang
That
a
is
kid.
an amazing scene. That's
Um,
that's probably like one of the best scenes in the whole franchise. Is that whole hanging scene?
Yes, but that's
Never shall
25.
we die.
25 years plus this film. So
Yeah.
different time of Disney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have anything else for this act.
Well, the judge, Sheriff Barber, has a little court hearing going on here. You know, sentencing them to whatever the crimes. This case, breaking
Yeah.
into a bank. Innocent or guilty or whatever. Oh, I forgot all the lines. Someone else that can
Yeah,
actually
Guilty or
memorize
not
things.
guilty?
Yeah,
He goes,
guilty.
not
No.
guilty. And then he just hammers
That's
his
wrong
gavel
answer.
revolver. Guilty.
And they said, "Oh, damn, we gave the wrong answer." Yeah, I thought that was their plan to literally do like a Mission Impossible thing, which was just to kind of
I mean, yeah,
I don't know
I don't
what
really
their
know.
plan was.
yeah. Again, I think I agree with Crimson. I have
it's
no
probably
idea
best to keep it ambiguous.
what
Their
the way
plan was
out
to get
was.
the nugget.
Yeah,
Well,
and-
even if they got the nugget, how would they hoist it up
I don't
or
know.
open the
They,
gate?
they didn't know it was
They
heavy.
had no exit strategy.
Well, they also didn't know how heavy it would be. Like that's one of the part of the guys later in the
Also,
film.
was it in the vault at this point, or was
Yeah.
it on display?
It was in the vault.
So they were going to blow it up with them stuck in there because they needed the dynamite for the vault later.
Listen,
Yeah.
I don't think any of their plans have ever gotten that far. So I think that
I think,
if once they got to that point, then they would have realized they needed to adjust.
I imagine they managed to get in.
That's in a film somewhere where it's like, what's your plan now? And he goes, I don't know. Never made it this far.
Oh,
It is from something.
damn it! You're gonna drive me crazy now.
Well, the one I
It's tried a
remember,
bunch of stuff.
yeah, the one I remember was something similar was Poe from Kung Fu Panda 2 when he frees the Furious Five. He's like, step one, free the five. What's step two? Honestly,
Oh,
guys, I didn't think I'd make it this far.
It's not that. It's gonna drive me crazy because that's a big thing.
Yeah. There's
Good luck
another.
figuring that out.
Well, it's like that.
Yeah,
But yes.
but I imagine it was
I
like
don't think they had a conclusion.
Yeah, I imagine it was like they got there and then they realized, oh, we don't know what we're doing, and then they went to leave, and then they got all tied up trying to.
Yeah. Well, I'm
trying to
sure
leave us.
Theodore would have been like, oh, well, this didn't work. And Amos goes, well, what we can do is this, and some stupid, not worthwhile plan.
Yeah,
Oh, we just got to get, Clarice the donkey in here, and she can carry it away.
There you
Who
go.
knows?
I think that's all I got from the act.
That's all I got for the act.
All right, last act. From
Last
here to
act.
the end.
class act.
Who wants
And
to
now we get Blazing Saddles.
No, there's no
No,
fart by the fire or anything.
they don't break the set and start running around the production company.
You know what? We should have watched that instead of this. That's a better
Well,
one.
I'll tell you why we didn't watch that when we finish talking about this.
There you go. That probably should have been the intro.
Well,
No, it'll be the outro.
I was kind of talking about the actor.
Oh, Slim Pickens.
No,
Stillwell.
Stillwell.
Yeah, Slim Pickens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is
that what his name was? That was
Yeah,
his
Stage
stage
name?
name.
That's the actor's name.
No, it's
I
his
had a whole
stage
comment
name.
with someone else.
It's his
Never
stage
mind.
name.
Then yeah, two cowboy movies, but he's at least smarter in this a little bit.
And also an interesting connection between that and Blazing Saddles is the woman who plays Dusty, Susan Clark, was married to Alex Karras, had a bit part in Blazing Saddles.
Interesting. That's a fact I didn't know.
Now you do.
And they've been casing the bank for 2 days.
2 days.
But now we have a time frame that we were already pretty confident on. 2 days.
So they've been casing it for 2 days. That's the second night, correct? That Donovan was here? Is when they started casing out?
Yes. I think that's right.
Are we on day 4?
I think
or are
so.
we on day 3? Okay.
Day 2 was them finding the gold, I think. And then 2 days casing after it's at the bank. I think that works.
Yeah.
No. Day 3
Oh.
is them finding the gold.
Oh, then this would be day 5. Because this the only reason to case it 2 days after would be if the gold's in the bank. Well, would be 2 days after them finding it.
So it's been
Yeah.
4 days or 5 days?
5.
Sounds like 5 days.
Sounds
Okay.
like 5.
Okay,
I
5
guess
days.
one of the setups is that Sidwell has still the strap around his leg where he got shot.
I think
The
that just keeps
changes
his
with
leg
the
in-
weather.
Keeps his leg intact.
Yeah.
Can't exactly have this wanted criminal going into a hospital.
Well,
I'm impressed.
honestly-
I'm impressed it didn't fester and he lose the leg. Considering,
Yeah, honestly, with this era of medicine, your prognosis if you get shot is not good.
With Crimson talking about gangrene.
maybe that's why Civil War casualties are so high.
Yes.
sorry, dark joke.
And we got the beautiful wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a barbershop. No
Yeah.
barbershop quartet, though, unfortunately.
And this plays it still more of Dusty's going for the romance and Donovan's just like as fast as we can.
Well, he's trying to be
She wants to hear it.
yeah, he's trying to be what he thinks is respectful because he realizes it's an imposition to what he thinks is.
It plays off really well because he thinks she doesn't want it, but she actually does.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the comment of "Do you have a ring?" and Donovan goes "No," I think that tells me Donovan's never been to a wedding.
No, I think he's been to a wedding. I just
mean,
don't think
he
he had
didn't
time
think
to
about it.
prepare.
Yeah. He proposed and got married in less than 24 hours.
True, but he's been thinking about marrying Dusty since Sheriff Homer's told him about it. So that's been over 24 hours.
He's got a lot to deal with.
2 days.
I don't think that's a slight to him. That's fine.
You know what? I'll give you that choice, Sprinks, and we'll see how you feel.
Well, it also comes across that the sheriff says it would be more legal with a ring, giving the impression that they can do it without it.
Well, yeah, there's common law marriage, which you don't really need any of that stuff, but it's only legal in certain states.
Well, sheriff is his own law, so I don't think I think the sheriff would like a ring for the wedding to make it more legal.
No, I think he wants a ring so that it's
And it's only for Dusty.
Yeah.
Donovan doesn't get a ring.
I think Dusty puts it on the wrong finger too.
She does.
Middle
She puts it
finger.
on the middle
Yeah.
finger.
That's a
Probably the
final
one that
FU.
fits.
Maybe, yeah.
Even though they didn't show her trying to fit it. On the
I like the silent exchange
Actually,
where
She puts it on the middle finger because that's what Homer indicates to put it on with his hand.
Well, I guess that would make her I'm not knowledgeable about weddings either. Then in your book,
I guess so.
I guess no one really gets married in this world, huh?
Could be. I don't know anyone else who's actually married. You just see these people who are together.
I mean,
just fornicators.
A bunch of foreigners fornicating. Yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty big. I mean, they're all technically in relationships, quotation marks, I guess, but there's not really a lot of married people.
No.
Out and out.
It was also an expense.
Yeah, it was really
$4.
expensive for that. Yeah.
$5 something. What was it? $2.
It's 2 bits. $2.
bits.
That's what he said. Yeah, he said I usually get $2 for this. That's right.
And they gave dollar coins.
And then Donovan goes,
That
I don't know
looked
if anyone's
like plastic trashy
Oh, yeah.
coins.
I don't know if anyone caught it, but when Dusty and Donovan are walking to the barbershop, there's a rendition of Here Comes the Bride that's playing.
I did, and I thought it was
I
funny.
did, yeah.
I commented on it.
I didn't.
They turned the wedding.
It was very slight.
Yeah, they turned the Here Comes the Bride song to something a little more foreboding and
It almost
Western-y.
sounds like the Darth Vader intro.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But it had
Imperial
It
March.
almost. It's
Bum.
like if it was a Western and it was really not done by anybody good. That's just the vibe I got from it. But it wasn't. It's not close at all. But that's just what I went to.
And then Dusty finds out someone bought a bed.
Which guy? Yep. She freaks out. He goes bananas.
She does. She loses her shit.
See, there's really no.
Wouldn't you if you think you'd have to sleep with a guy who you just met?
And is presumably attracted to?
And is presumably sleeping around?
Has he?
I don't know.
I
He seems
don't
like
know.
that kind of. He seems like that kind of guy. At least beforehand. I don't know. He's a drifter.
He's a snake oil salesman.
Yeah, he's a drifter, but he doesn't seem to be a ladies' man in any regard.
He looks closer to a ladies' man than Amos or Theodore look.
Oh yeah.
He actually describes himself as a bachelor in the earlier act.
Oh, I know what that means.
But yeah, I think this scene is pretty funny. Just her going around just throwing things at him, and him doing the typical like thing of like, okay, you know what? We're gonna wait till you calm down, and then we're gonna talk about this again. And then she just gets, almost gets hit again.
Angrier, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Yep,
Like,
reasonable.
just like one moment, he's like, "Let me say one word," and he goes, "Dusty."
Wrong answer. It's a good little scene.
Overall, yeah, well choreographed. One little segment there.
Weird that the place has 2 doors.
Yes, I thought that was a little error, but they show it earlier when Donovan goes into the bar, into the saloon. So it's shown earlier that there are 2 doors.
You got the front door and the supply door.
Yeah.
I like that. Once he explains everything, she just calms right back down.
Oh, well, why didn't you say that from the beginning?
Yeah. She just, yeah. Jumping to conclusions is almost an understatement. But it's funny. Yeah. I do enjoy the gag.
He cares so much for the kids. He got 2 beds. So they wouldn't freeze and die in the winter.
This act also has the Stillwell dressing up as a reverend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the this to the end.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just making sure. Yeah, so I got a note about that scene. I think it's pretty clever that he is dressing up as a man of the cloth. One thing one thing I didn't like the fact was that he's like, I'm a man of the cloth. You can tell me anything. I'm like, we could have picked that up. I thought that was a little too ham-fisted for dialogue. Because he's already holding the Bible and dressed up as a reverend.
Well, it's also for kids, so I don't think they would have.
Yeah, but kids aren't stupid. That's why I don't.
I don't know about 70s kids, but I don't know what the age market they were going for. Movie, yeah, Disney in the 70s, so, ostensibly it's like little kids. So they might not know what the heck a man in the cloth.
But
Well, I
I
hear
don't-
there's a lot of tell, which kids can pick up pretty easily over show.
man, you just want to start something. don't you?
Alrighty.
Okay.
I think that was a valid thing I pointed out.
It's a valid thing to point out.
Yeah. So
What I didn't get is that Dusty brought up about Theodore and Amos that they were in the Stillwell gang, and then Donovan says like Stillwell gang really as he knows the Stillwell gang, so that shows two people know the Stillwell gang and no one recognizes Stillwell. Like he doesn't do anything to disfigure his face.
it might be like wanted poster kind of thing. You know, like they don't know what he looks like.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's no wanted posters anywhere.
Yeah, they could just know his name.
Yeah,
So
'cause,
that's kind of back and forth. Like that's okay.
one thing I thought was very lucky for Stillwell is just her drunk dad giving away everything.
Very lucky.
I mean everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He
The-
played him like a fiddle.
The whole reason for the final act is
Yeah.
because he gave away everything.
He's a lush.
And we see in the beginning he's very prideful of his business, and he gave away his business tips pretty much.
I
or whatever.
trust a man of the cloth.
Yeah. And still very gutsy to essentially steal from him, even though he's like, I'll take the donation though.
And also to not only like you can trust that he's speaking to a holy man, but also the other side of it where he's saying it openly in a saloon at night. They're not like in a private,
Oh yeah,
room or
it's
somewhere.
very open. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
easily eavesdropped in case there is another like Stillwell member or like Theodore Amos are around and hear it or something.
The only thing that helps it is the fact that her dad is probably drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
Whittle returns, or
He does with
Little-
a lawyer and legal papers.
Somehow he got rich in the timeline. Going to San
Oh, he just got a
Francisco.
better
dude.
outfit. Doesn't
Well,
necessarily
he
mean he's rich.
sold another marshal's horse.
That could be it.
He's
Yeah.
got a better outfit and he has a lawyer. Lawyers don't necessarily do stuff for free.
well, I mean, honestly, it might just be we can split the gold kind of thing.
Yeah. News of the gold. Sure.
Well, yeah, the lawyer probably heard about the case and heard how easy it would be to win the case. So he's like, all right, yeah, I'll get the gold.
All right.
May as well get a
It's a
good cut of
pretty-
it,
Pretty simple case.
considering that one paper just destroys it. Yes.
Now, do you think it's in? I don't know if it's in character, but just something. Is there ever? I don't think they ever say a line or talk about it or anything that they ever contacted Whittle about the
No,
case.
but I'm not get that big word would.
I've used that.
Oh,
no.
I view that as a problem from the sheriff's part, because the sheriff is the one was very like gung ho about keeping Donovan in the town, but he did virtually nothing, even though he knew Whittle abandoned children and to a degree, and wasn't willing to backfill that. I view that as the problem, I guess.
Well, he always got out of it because he would just say, "What? Whittle me?"
Funny.
boo.
It is convenient that he shows up right on time of the hearing.
Well, you
Gavel
know,
off his kin.
And that's just
Yeah.
to streamline the movie, but
Yeah.
it is convenient. Yeah.
convenient.
I guess it is better before the like going, and before he says gone, he walks in with the papers.
That is pretty good. That's a good written.
No, then that would have been, I think, a little cornier. Then he just shows up during this, which is
I mean, they should have just gone full corn. This is all that movie is, really. Is corny.
I think there's no
Just-
substance to the story.
Not really. Not really.
We have annulment papers with a record of the fastest marriage to fall apart, potentially. But
Yeah.
they didn't go through with it, obviously, by the end of it.
Probably for the best. I don't think they were really going to do much better.
Well,
Same.
certainly Dusty, because everyone in her proximity, not great.
Yeah. But who knows? We'll never know.
I think the most out of feel of the movie is the whole talk of Donovan and like telling Dusty goodbye. It just didn't feel like a scene to fit the film.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to go serious with it, which is odd considering. Which I guess I understand the feel comment.
It definitely, with what happens after it feels like unnecessary.
I think it's necessary for Donovan to say something on the matter to Dusty, but in this scene is, as the writer says, yeah, it's a bit too serious for this whole tone of the film so far.
I mean, their scenes have always been serious, but I think my issue with it stems more from less the fact that they end up getting together. I think it should have focused a little more on the goodbye feeling rather than the sense of longing, because that's what Donovan feels. Like he doesn't know that Dusty actually wants to be with him.
Yeah.
So I think I'm fine with the tone because most of their scenes together have been serious. I think I just wanted to just shift it a little bit, tweak it.
Yeah.
Okay. It just still stood out a bit to me, but especially with the music choice as well. Like there was no like funny little intro or outro. It was very just emotionally, relationshiply.
If there was something awkward at the end,
Relationshiply?
would that work
Sorry.
better for you? Like if they added something awkward to
Yeah.
conclude the scene? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if Donovan like stumbled or something.
Yeah, I think that would have been a nice addition, I think. I like
I can
how
agree.
I like when the kids show up again to Theodore and Amos's like little shack. They put their hands up like they're about to be arrested again.
It's good.
I like it.
That's good.
Kids go throw them twice.
Yeah, well, Theodore's reaction was pretty good to it as well. God, really again?
Again?
Oh, stop.
Again?
Really?
And the kids bring up a interesting thing there where I guess it makes sense in the eyes of the kids. Yeah.
I mean, it is their goal to give.
Yeah.
It's under their name.
Well, which would bring up the thing of why would it need to get stolen if they could just bring it up to the sheriff.
I think that's just a big error.
I think it's
Big error.
probably the biggest error in the film. There's no point in the robbery.
No, they could have just taken Amos and Theodore, walked down there, and said, "Yeah, we just want to give it."
Well,
away, and that's the end.
And then the sheriff would be like, "Under what pretenses? Why are you giving it to these guys?" Blah 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 blah. But it is still their right.
Well, but it's not theirs. Technically, they're legal guardians because he has, he's the elder.
Well, I think at that point it depends if it's under his name or theirs. If they changed it to under Wintel's name, then I think, yeah, it's under Wintel. But if it's still under just Bobby, Clovis, and Celia, then they get to decide.
I'm just saying from a legal point, it's technically the guardians because the kids don't actually have a technically mental right to have this,
So when they got the gold and they were under the care of Donovan, it was then Donovan's nugget?
Technically.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to like child actors getting paid.
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying it's record found that Donovan's name's not on the nugget when it's claimed.
Well, it doesn't really matter who because he didn't claim it because he didn't find it, but it's technically he owns it because the kids own it. So legally the guardian has more right over whatever like income or something does than kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that was also that they couldn't just go down and be like, well, technically it's not yours, it's their your guardian, and way or not, definitely wouldn't do that.
So yes, they rob it.
Yeah, they gotta rob.
They try.
They well,
Well,
Tries
I'm,
it.
I'm tries a strong word. Yeah.
They walk in there.
They go for it.
Yeah, they have something that you could resemble a plan.
And they definitely didn't check their corners, which is
Yeah.
basic thing to forget, I guess. But it's in character, so I'm not too mad about that.
They got the fastest horses. It's
Yeah.
probably the smartest thing
They've done.
that Amos did. Or at least a smart explanation. I doubt that was his thought process. But
We finally get a connection.
Unfortunately for them, the place is already being robbed by
Yeah,
the
by
Stillwell gang.
a stronger, much more competent gang. Anybody else have anything for this this little section? Or
not too much, really. I mean, the shootout was pretty well done. No one was really dying.
Lots of plot armor,
Getting hit.
but
One guy got hit.
lots of plot armor. I'm okay with it though, just because it's a comedy. Like it just kind of fell right into natural for me because Theodore and Amos died from all the bullets that were coming through. But
Yeah.
Well, in a similar situation with the little girl, forgetting the kid's
Celia.
names. Celia. Where this time Dusty's just in the middle of the street. I don't know why. She was behind the water trough.
Yeah, with the sheriff.
which may
That got shot, which would have went through and hit her, but we'll ignore that.
No.
She stands up, starts shooting, and then walks in front of it into the street. And then Donovan saves her.
I will actually
What are
say
you doing?
I will actually say the water trough is actually a really good cover because water will actually stop bullets to a degree.
Well, the shot that I'm pointing up in particular didn't go from front to back. It went from the top
to front.
down into the back of it, the wood part. It didn't travel all the way through the water.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, that's a problem.
I don't know. What do you guys think of her just walking in the middle of the street like that?
I mean, it sucks.
Oh, it was-
Stupid. Yeah.
Running out
It
of
was really
cover.
dumb. No, it was really dumb.
She sensed her main character syndrome. You know, just
What I think is okay of Theodore and Amos not getting shot is that the bank stairs, like it's upward. Like you have to go upstairs to get up to the bank, and everyone in the town is shooting opposite side on street level, so they're shooting upward. So the trajectory of the bullets would be above them if they're ducking.
And there's still bullets all around them, though.
There are.
it's lucky they don't get shot. I'm okay with it. It's part of the gag for me. It's amazing that they were just forgotten about too by the gang because you know.
Yeah. Well, they're already off at that point, but.
Well, I mean,
I
even
think
while they're
it's-
there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's funny that they try actually holding up Stillwell's gain by visually showing that their guns have no ammunition.
Yeah,
Like you can
that's
see
true.
that the barrels are empty,
They were empty.
or the chambers.
Chambers and the barrels. Yeah, and then of course their bad luck rubs off on the criminals, and and they get have to run away without the goal lands on Amos's foot.
Where did Bobby and fucking
Okay,
Forrest here disappear?
Great
that
into?
was
question.
yeah, that was I thought because they said let's grab the kids and it's like collateral or whatever.
And it's just
And then
Celia.
it's Yeah, and there's just Celia.
I'm like, where
yeah.
the fuck did the other kids go?
No clue.
They just got
Oh.
away.
I think that was just a flat problem.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Well, Celia is the smallest, so probably weighs the least to take.
Well, he didn't
Is
say grab the
leverage-
girl. He said grab the
No.
kids.
Yeah,
It's a continuity error that's pretty big because it has implications that they only need to save one kid instead of multiple.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Them mistaking her makes more sense than taking all three of them. But the bad part is they said they were going to take all three of them, and they only take one.
Yeah, it's a very quick fix, like with Bobby and Clovis, chasing after them on foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because they took their sister. That would be a good, I think, fix. This would be quick.
Clovis got
Yeah.
touched again and got,
Yeah,
kicked
kicked him.
someone.
Yeah.
Or they just said take the girl
Oh yeah, I skipped
instead
over
of all
Bobby.
three.
Like if Clovis kicked someone, they push Clovis off. Bobby jumps after Clovis, and then they take off with Celia.
Yeah, because Bobby would be old enough to jump
Work
off.
as well.
Yeah, like I said, there's quick fixes for this, but they're not there. So the kids are just gone until they're back into the story.
I'm also going to point out how stupid and ugly that lock was. That was on the chest.
Oh, it's
what the
bright
heck was
yellow.
that? What was that?
It's
It
a
looked
Scrooge McDuck lock.
terrible. Yeah, it was a cartoon lock.
It was a Disney lock. It was funny.
Yeah, it was a Disney lock.
A Disney
That's
lock.
exactly.
We already talked about the second mirror shot.
Yeah.
The chase
What's the
scene
second
where they're getting away on the fire thing, I think would have been better if they never used that set piece of cut, like just all the wide angles.
Yep.
Or even, I guess, the close parts of Donovan and Dusty actually being on horses, because that's actually them riding the horses at points.
I don't know.
Like the river part, I think, is understandable for that being a set piece, but the Stillwell, I guess, steering the fire truck.
The ass into the fire wagon.
Yeah, for that being a set piece. Then again, I guess use what you got, and if they've already used it multiple times, then they're just going to keep using it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they have to, because they definitely didn't get enough film footage of actual stuff.
Well, I kind of see a charm to it. Yeah, the effects.
It would be more charming if they just that. If they didn't have the cut to like the actual stuff happening, like whether they actually saw it on film or with the actual location. It's the fact that they do both that's the problem.
And then again, that could just be our modern eye takeaway.
I don't know. I think even back then it was.
For me, the effects have definitely aged. I'm fine with it. It's just
It's the same effect. Like if there's a shot of someone inside a car while they're driving, that's what would be going on in the back, through the windows. I mean, it was a pretty common thing. Usually, you didn't have a fight sequence going on. But I don't know. I think it looked okay for the time, and I wouldn't want to sacrifice the wide shots of the real chase stuff. I think that adds to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think since they already used it once before, using it again.
I'm not against the whole thing. It's just like it's the combination. I think it looks just off, because it's like you'll get used to it, and then it'll be like, well, here's a little plane backdrop thing or whatever, and then it's actually happening. Why didn't they just film that instead of like doing this whole side fake backdrop thing? That's the problem.
Well, I don't. How good were like stabilizers for cameras on vehicles back then
in the 70s?
Because the way to do the shot where it isn't this backdrop is they'd have to have a vehicle next to the carriage, and I think that would be a very bumpy, ugly-looking shot, especially with the roads they're on here. I think this was the best they could do.
Ryder, did I hear you say Indiana Jones?
I think. I don't remember the time period.
That was 81.
Okay.
Either way, I can still not like it.
That's fair.
I can still not like it even if they couldn't do anything about it. I don't like how it looks, but I can at least surrender to the fact that it was unavoidable.
Totally fair.
A movie that did come out in 1975, though, is Jaws.
Burner.
Yeah, that was shot on location.
I still have pictures with good old Bruce.
You do.
Bruce.
I was curious how or when did Theodore put dynamite in between his feet?
Oh, he didn't.
For the joke?
Teleported.
Yeah.
No, it was there with him in his hand at the very beginning of the.
Yeah, it was in his hand, and then his back got locked up, and I guess when that happened, he put it in between his feet?
I guess so. I lost track of it, admittedly. I was too distracted.
I'm like, once the gold got off of Amos's feet, I don't know why he didn't put it back on top, since it won't be rolling again. But
The
I
real
guess it was
question-
just for the joke of lifting his feet into
Yeah.
frame of showing the dynamite. So
The real question you have to ask is, how did the dynamite get lit and they ended up inside of the bank vault?
oh, I don't think it got
Oh,
lit.
it was sweaty dynamite. It was
Yeah.
unstable
gonna go off.
dynamite.
At
It
any
was
time?
sweaty nitroglycerin. Nitroglycerin.
A bump could have set it off.
They probably just locked themselves in the vault, and as they closed the door, threw it out. That's all I could think.
Yeah, there's no way it was an accident because they would have just blown themselves up.
Yeah.
It had to have been intentional. I don't know why they would have done that
Well, I mean, they were getting shot at.
because they blew up the gold.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I think they were legit. Once they were getting shot at again, it was just the two of them. I think they just did that to stop them shooting.
Instead of taking the side door that the other guys took.
I have
Well, the
no
guy went
idea.
over there and he saw there was
I'm-
two
look,
guys
I'm
still
not
in
gonna
there.
defend
Yeah.
it. I'm right. I agree. It's dumb. But
It's not
They
a
would've-
perfect movie.
No.
Really?
You
It's made by
clearly
Disney, though.
see- You can see even more dummies of quote unquote Donovan and Stillwell falling into the river. I
Yeah.
think that's the most apparent dummy.
The stiff dummies, yeah.
You're a dummy if you miss those.
I do like the concept of this, though. Fighting on the rapids on a carriage.
It's the equivalent of like fighting on top of a train.
Yeah,
I guess so, yeah.
more unique though.
I think that it's a little slight difference. Train, you got wind, a lot more wind impact. As for water, is a lot more unstable terrain, so a lot more drop.
I do feel like though my only critique is that I feel like pretty much a one-legged guy would be the worst at the worst advantage for this, and it wouldn't be able to put up much of a fight.
yeah.
I don't know why
Agreed.
Donovan doesn't just start punching him in the leg.
Or
Well, he's
kicking him.
honorable. He's honorable.
Yeah.
You don't.
Doesn't play dirty.
Americans don't kick.
For some fucking reason. But yeah.
Americans don't kick.
I guess my flaw for the rapids part is just when Stillwell gets knocked in the water. The shots of him holding the hose in there, it's not rapids
What was-
water. It's very
Oh,
calm water.
I was like,
they're at the end of the rapids.
I was so confused
And then when
why
they cut out to more wides, it's
Huh.
just the normal rapids background they got.
I was so confused why he was holding the watering hose, the hose, because I was like, what's he gonna do? Spray him with water? They're already surrounded by water, and then hit him the metal part.
And I don't know if it's for sure, but by Donovan getting to shore by using his legs, I don't know if that was to pump water out of him. Because isn't that a technique they did?
What?
They
Oh,
like when people were full of water, they'd lift their legs up or something.
I legitimately thought that they just didn't care.
Oh, I
Like,
thought that
That's
was
also
the technique before CPR or something.
It
Yes.
was. I'm pretty sure that could work. I think I'm running it in my head. I think it could work. I just don't know much about it. I see the theory, just don't know the evidence.
I don't know the history.
I don't know the history of the Heimlich maneuver.
We get a kiss. We get a big kiss. A long
Like
kiss.
a really
I think
big
it's called
kiss.
a makeout.
kiss.
Yeah, I think it's called
Yeah.
snogging.
Oh yeah, snogging.
Right, Hermione.
Or
Mhm.
French kissing.
Do you guys like the fact that when they fell in the water, their priorities were more over getting their hats back before kissing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
western.
You're-
those are valuable.
It's a western. It keeps the
Expensive
heat.
hats.
Keeps the heat out. It keeps the sun out of your eyes. Very valid. Yeah.
And the sheriff's all into it. You
Yeah,
guys are
he's
going
like-
to drown.
You guys are going
Yeah.
around.
All
Guess
right.
they don't care.
Care.
I will say
Well.
the set piece of the blown up bank looks very cool.
It does.
Or I guess just the ruined town. In general.
Probably it's probably one of the best sets I think.
I'm gonna be honest.
Overall.
I legitimately thought the final thing of the show was gonna be Dusty's dad walking along and humming his tune. I thought that was how good the show was gonna end. I was expecting credits to roll.
Oh,
Nope.
for this movie?
Yeah.
Nope. He's got a
Pretty
liquor in his
interesting.
back pocket.
Yeah, he got liquor in his back pocket. He's making his getaway, and then he dodges out of sight when the sheriff rolls around the corner. Good detail.
Gold.
The gold nugget done blown up.
I don't know if you guys heard it, but there was a guy in the background who said, "This is my claim. Anything
Yeah.
found goes to me."
Mm,
I think that was the
That's my
banker.
This
favorite.
is funny.
That's my favorite dude.
The claim dude.
And then the banker's all like, "Am I supposed to get my building now?" And the sheriff's
Work
like,
at
"You
the
can
barber
you can
place."
work out of my barber shop."
My
I like how it's a nice detail that after the banker won the token of lady's affection, it's just a part of his outfit from now on.
Yeah.
Like it's been on him the entire time.
that's true.
That's true.
Just thought it was pretty, I guess.
Just out of a good mess of continuity errors this film has, it's one they stuck with.
Yeah, it's weird the ones that they managed to keep track of and they didn't. It's very fun.
So, I guess I have one more
Yeah.
problem with the film.
Okay.
I don't think there's enough for Donovan to agree to take Theodore and Amos with him at the end. There's no character interactions other than awkward stares. There's no
Yeah, but it's the
bonding.
kids.
Yeah, but we don't get that either.
The kids love him. Yeah, but
Yeah,
Celia,
the kids love them,
waving
but,
at him.
but Donovan doesn't. Donovan
I don't
thought they were
even
trying to
think-
steal from him.
I don't think Donovan and Dusty even know that the kid's plan was to give them the gold.
Yeah, Donovan doesn't even know
That's
that.
what we see.
So as much as we as fans like
Happy
Theodore
He
Amos.
is,
Disney ending.
Don Knotts and Tim Conway fans.
Well, maybe it's seen as Donovan's just in a good mood, but he's not exactly like accepting Theodore and Amos to be with him, but just like are along for the ride.
that could be an implication.
That's being with him.
Yeah. They are going to take him with them. Even the old man says he's going to be living with them. Like they're going to move in with them. That's the plan.
Oh, I saw that as a joke just to make him like chill down. I thought that was a joke to him, not a seriousness to Dusty's dad.
Franks, have you seen the sequel?
I have.
Do they stick together?
I will not answer that.
Then that sounds like a yes, and then that means it was meant.
One of the things Dusty also wouldn't let them on. She knows they're criminals, even if they're quote unquote harmless.
That is true.
So as much as I like it. It's a nice bow in the end. There's just not character. There's no character work there between the respective adults for this to be facilitated to happen.
I will
What
say,
I think is weird is that they've made it this far out of town and then they just stopped.
well, they got to stop again immediately after that too.
Bathroom break.
Break.
Well, yeah, no, I mean Theodore and
Yeah.
Amos.
Yeah, we know.
You know,
Tired.
they got. I will say, they really polished up Dusty. That's what I'll say.
Oh yeah, she's more of a lady now.
She's gone
Looks
from
more
Dusty
like-
to Magnolia.
She's now a Southern Belle, or
Ah.
I guess a Far West Belle,
She can now go by Magnolia
or Mrs. Donovan. I'm sorry,
or Mrs.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mrs. Clydesdale, but no, they're technically getting married again. I assume.
Oh, he would have taken the last name. I'll tell you that much.
Probably.
Yeah, he's a subservient man.
And John holds the sheriff responsible for the gold getting blown up.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the kids anymore. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought the man all about the
Exactly,
money
agreed.
left when the money was no longer there?
Yeah, it works. Makes sense. Logical through line.
Yeah. And I think unless
But
somebody's
now
got
the sheriff
anything
has to
else,
go through the whole thing again, where he has to auction the kids off.
yeah, he hates doing that. You can really tell because he does it like 50 times.
I think that's it for me, though, on my notes.
That is it. That is it for me.
What a funny end line though. No,
I have to
this
go.
is
I
wrong,
gotta
I
go.
gotta go.
And then they don't stop. They keep going. It's like, fuck it, we'll see what happens.
Testing their luck today.
Yeah. I had to get married to a woman I met like 5 days ago. We're not having it. Come on.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
That's the end of the movie.
All right.
Wow. Apple Dumpling Gang. Number 1. Because there's a sequel, but it's the first one. I brought it up earlier, but I want to touch on it now. There's a good chunk of continuity errors.
Okay.
So Frank Stillwell, when he enters the bank, he has a little, what was it you guys called it? Derringer? That little pistol, whatever. He had that in his book. And when Celia looks in, he has a full 6-shooter revolver now. So his gun changes.
Well, there's a lot, huh?
Well, there's one that it could be an error of Magnolia or Dusty changing her seat on the stagecoach every shot at the beginning of the film. Like she keeps moving around positions. I think it does count as an error when she's waiting for Celia to get back from her break. Because she keeps moving on the stagecoach.
I didn't notice.
The ladder on the broken, I guess, 2 pieces of wood stuck to the roof of the ladder would still be on the building from the angle of Theodore and Amos after they get up from the ground when they fall off the building. And the ladder's just gone.
Where the rope is?
Yeah. The 2 pieces of wood.
It could have fallen during the time it took them to get the rope up.
Oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
I guess another one is Donovan and Dusty aren't wet when they return to town.
Sure.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Well, they don't. Once he gets out of the water, he's immediately drier than Stillwell is.
And then last one I have here is when they're to put the bucket of water on Donovan as their plan. The smokestack on that building that Amos is on, the smoke changes left and right in different shots. So it's coming out of the right side of the building, then coming out of the left, and then back to the right.
Okie. The only one I caught was the dog.
There weren't really continuity errors, but just like errors of the story.
Well, I guess that's the Apple Dumpling Gang with errors. We'll go into summaries if everyone has any, and ratings. Let us start with Crimson.
All right. Apple Dumpling Gang. It was a movie that we watched.
This is true.
It's one I watched as a child. And going into it, I figured it would get ripped to shreds, and it didn't get ripped into shreds that much. So I'll start with my subjective. I mentioned that this might have been the 3rd or 4th time I've seen it. With that still in mind, it wasn't really a movie I cared for that much as a kid. It was mostly like Mom wanted to watch it with us, so we watched it. And even today, it did not raise my score from what I was going in thinking I would give it, which is a 6 subjectively. I enjoy the character interactions between the kids and Mr. Donovan. Like Mr. Donovan and Dusty's quick relationship that's kind of fun. The Theodore and Amos, I kind of brought up how they could have been cut out entirely, which I think they could, but we'll bring up I still enjoyed the humor they brought to the movie. Don't want to act like I was on board with just kicking them out entirely. Saying that it's an option, it could happen, because they didn't really provide anything. Piggybacking off of that into objective, they could have been removed from the movie. And I think that's an objective flaw, considering how big they are into it. I think they could have connected them more than just having the kids give their gold to them so they don't get taken away. I think that they could have had a bigger role in the larger plot with the kids than that. Because it's kind of thrown in at random there. The minecart obviously wouldn't work. It's more for the fun. The backdrops that we've kind of talked about, I think, objectively is fine with the era. I haven't seen too many 70s things, so mine's limited. My experience is limited with that stuff. I kind of just connected with cars, with the backgrounds moving, as I mentioned. I think the choreography with, I guess, 3 fights, the gunfight. The gunfight was good. The bar fight with Dusty was good. And I quite enjoyed the the
Fire wagon.
fire vessel, wagon. I think that was well done. Springs brought up some continuity stuff I didn't catch. Little nicks here and there. The latter bit is not great. The rope bit is amusing. I'll give it that. And that you could argue the rope is hidden by the post, but I don't think it's enough to the angle they were at. So that could be debated. I'll leave that on its own.
To future generations.
Yeah. I didn't do what I normally do this time, so I'm kind of lost now. Shoot. That's fine. I'll give it a 5.5 objective, and that's it.
All right. Next, we will cut to Sinister.
I wasn't too. I mean, I knew, like I said, I knew Don Knotts was in this movie, and I like Don Knotts. I wasn't expecting too much, just because 70s Disney live action. But I gotta say, like the more and more I was watching of this, I wasn't super into it. I'm pretty particular about the westerns that I do like, and I don't think this really falls under it. That I like. So, and I think we went over, there was a couple of pretty glaring issues with this. Some of them understandable, some of them not so much. I'm going to leave out my critique of the wide shot stock backgrounds, because I feel like that was explained well enough where I can understand why they were used. And yeah, I mean, the main story of this, between like the kids and Donovan, I wasn't really that into. I didn't really feel a connection with it. The story I felt interested in was the Don Knotts and Tim Conway stuff, with the exception of the firehouse ladder gag, which is probably the only really weak one out of the couple that they did have. And I was more interested in that than I was in the rest of the movie. And I was a little disappointed that it didn't really make up that much of it. It was, just a couple of comedic relief things, which, I mean, fair enough, but I think if the takeaway is those are more interesting than the main story, it's probably not a good thing. So, all that considered, the acting was okay. I don't know. I mean, Dusty and the kids were probably the best. Donovan at times was pretty good. Most of the rest, and obviously Tim Conway and Don Knotts, but more often than not, I think it was just little bits of like, oh, we need a banker guy, or we need this or that, and that was about it. So, all in all, I probably wouldn't watch this again. It's not terrible, but I'm gonna go with a.
You cut off perfectly when you gave your number, at least for me.
4. I'm giving it a 4.
Okie doke, a 4. I will go next. I will start with my objective. I think this film could be better. Could be lots better. I think the acting is fine. I think the outfits for the era are fine. Look good. I think the weapons, the guns they have, are good. I think the natural lighting is good. I think some of the jokes that are said, especially by Theodore Don Knotts, I think are very funny and good. And that might be all the good. I think the artificial lighting is yikes. Well, actually, the choreography in fights I think was decent. That was fine. The lighting, artificial, not good, especially that mine scene with the spotlight on Clovis. Ugh. The some of the writing, it's a lot of tell. I don't like the shoot. What else is there? The cinematography shots. It's passable. I'll say it's passable. Nothing really blows me away with a shot, and nothing's like, why the hell did they do that? So it's very just middle ground. I think the kid. Well, I guess the kid. I mean, all the acting's pretty decent. The kid actors for their age did fairly well, which is surprising. For actually, I don't know. Kid actors seem to do very well. So Celia did very, being the youngest actor in the film, great for her role. Yeah, I just some things here and there, but looking at this film now, this is the first time I've watched the film with an objective lens on it, trying to pinpoint everything. A lot of continuity errors. We saw the effects are dated for their time. Yeah, objectively, I give it a 5. And my score did change. It was a 6, and I lowered it. So it was a 6 immediately after I finished watching it. I let it sit, and I lowered it to a 5.
What changed it?
What changed it was just thinking more and more of the problems of the film.
Oh, so it wasn't any particular thing?
No, it was just me digesting.
Compiling it.
Yeah.
Since I didn't touch on it, I agree with the acting. I think the kids did well, and Donovan and Dusty.
Yeah, it was an annoyance. There was no one who was annoying. There was no, like, the comedy didn't get to me as annoying from Theodore Amos, or Donovan's character was annoying. Homer the Sheriff wasn't annoying. I think Homer the Sheriff actually might be the best rounded character. And then the kid acting wasn't bad. I mean, even Clovis didn't have many lines, but he didn't come across as a nuisance. But subjectively, probably no shocker, I think this movie is very fun. It's very funny, still enjoyable. I'll watch it again. I'll recommend it to people. I don't know, really, if you want to know more a little bit on it, comment below, or wherever you're listening from, and we'll read it. I'll touch on it. But subjectively, it's an 8. And lastly, we go to writer.
All right. I'll start with my objective, because I'm gonna try and keep this kind of short for my sake. I think the writing here is by and large pretty intentional, in the sense that, like, I'd say all the characters have a bit of an error to them, except for, I think, for the kids. But it was surmountable in that the comedy, I think, is pretty well written. The jokes, I think, for the most part, tend to land. There's only, I think we talked about the sequence in the firehouse. I think that's the only joke that tends to drag on a little bit. The plot is pretty simple, if filtered by a few conveniences here and there. The world building is done a lot through dialogue, which is, I think, is fine. But I think objectively, I'm about a 5.5 as well. Yeah, that might change, but for now, that's where I'm comfortable with, because this is my first time seeing it. And I think I'll probably end up seeing it again, and when I do, that might change. So for my subjective, I did quite enjoy the film. I had fun with it. I was kind of annoyed with it at first, but I started hitting a few, like, it's not nostalgia, but it just started hitting the right buttons for me, I guess. I started having a little more fun with it. Found myself enjoying it the more and more I went. So subjectively, this is at a 7 for me.
Cool.
All right.
I do have a question I forgot to pose earlier. So it was something that was off the podcast. How does this stack up as a Western writer?
Let's see. I think they nailed the
Because I
setting.
believe your comment,
Yeah.
you gave a comment earlier, which was when you were at the halfway mark.
Yeah. I gave a comment when I was at the halfway mark, which was, I am enjoying it. I don't think it qualifies as much as a Western. The second half really helps that. I still don't think it has the tone that most Westerns are going for. Because I think a better Western comedy, by example, this Western's obviously for adults, but there's A Million Ways to Die in the West. I think that handles the kind of setting mixed with tone a little bit better. In terms of what I normally expect from a Western, or what is usually a part of that genre. But I think it fared better in the second half, and that I feel, what's the right word? More comfortable with it being labeled a Western now, I think would be the best term for it. So.
All right.
Okay.
If that
Well,
answers
that
your
answers the
question.
question.
It does.
All right.
That's my question.
All right. Well, gentlemen, shall I read us out?
One thing
Please.
before
Oh.
you do, writer. One thing. Well, first off, forever who has listened up to this point, thank you. We truly appreciate it. And you get rewarded with this little bit of information. This season is a themed season, as a matter of fact. And usually when we come with seasons, I guess with Decade, as an example, after I suppose the fourth or fifth one, you would know, okay, next one's going to be a 70s movie. Next one's going to be one in the 80s. So that's kind of your hint at that. For this one, this is a sequel season. So next week will be Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again. And then we will be going with a pick given by Sinister. And then we will be given a pick by Crimson.
Yeah.
So to help in order, so it kind of helps that you know what will be coming out the following week.
Double trouble, as it were, this season.
We had double trouble.
And with that, writer, you can go ahead.
All right. Well, audience, thank you for listening, whether it be on Spotify, Anchor, Amazon, Castbox, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Casts, and Samsung. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, whether it be on those sites or the YouTube end of things. Tell us how much you hate our opinions. Feel free to leave a review of your own or point out a funny review for us in the comments, and you might end up in the recap. As always, I have been a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
I'm a character called Sinister Boy.
And I'm Springs.
And we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.